Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Heartbroken Naruto joins ANBU konoha. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Nightwolf89 and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1 Wounds That Cut Deep. Naruto was smiling as him and his perverted master walked up the road toward the village gates as the sun was just falling below the horizon. Alright, finally coming home, I can't wait, Naruto said with excitement. Geez, it's like you've never been away from the leaf for an extended period of time. Jiraiya chuckles. Hey, we have been gone a year and a half. That is the longest I've ever been away from the village. Naruto said. Yeah, but we were supposed to be gone for 3 years. Jiraiya replied. And we would have been if I hadn't dragged you away from those whorehouses and hot springs. Naruto replied. Hey, that was essential intelligence gathering. Jiraiya defended. For your books, but not our mission of finding out about the Akatsuki. Naruto said. So because of you my newest book will be delayed. Jiraiya said. But my training was quickened and we got the intel we needed in half the time. Now you can work on those dirty books of yours all you want, Naruto replied as Jiraiya got a perverted grin on his face. And you'll have more time with Bachan. He teased. What you talking about? Jiraiya asked defensively. Oh, don't give me that shit, I know you like her, I heard you saying her name in your sleep when we shared rooms. Naruto replied, and it wasn't in the perverted way either, it was in a caring way. Oh fine, you caught me on that. What of it? Besides, don't you have the same problem with that pink-haired girl? Jiraiya shot back as Naruto's head dropped in shame like I thought. Alright fine, you got me there. Naruto replied. So it's true what they say about a student and master being similar? Jiraiya said with a grin. Maybe a little. Naruto sighed. And maybe more than you think. Jiraiya chuckled. No, I'm not a pervert. Naruto shot back, knowing that is what he was implying. Oh really, then that super extra perverted jutsu isn't your creation then? Jiraiya asked, getting Naruto to slump in defeat. You know I really hate you sometimes. Naruto sighed, getting Jiraiya to laugh as they entered the gate. You just know how to suck the good mood right out of me. It's something I take pride in, Jiraiya said as he looked at the two front desk clerks. Ah, Jiraiya-sama, Naruto wasn't expecting you for another year or so, Kotetsu said with a smile. Yeah, I bet a little pink kunoichi will be happy to have her teammate back, Izumo said teasingly, getting Naruto's excitement back. Seriously guys, I finally got him to calm down. Jiraiya sighed. Hey, can you keep it on the down low? I'm back, I want it to be a surprise, Naruto asked. As long as you report directly to the Hokage, I guess we can keep you guys off the books, Izumo replied. Thanks guys, Naruto said with a smile. Naruto and Jiraiya made their way to the Hokage's office where she was pouring herself a drink. Naruto and Jiraiya merely slipped in through the window. Damned, who do you think you are coming in through? The Tsunade began, but then looked to see the two people she wasn't expecting. Jiraiya, Naruto, what you two doing here? Well, seems the kid is a fast learner when it comes to training, Jiraiya said. I've taught him just about everything I could without getting into the really high-end stuff. Jiraiya said. Yep, can even do the Rasengan one-handed now, Naruto said, proud of himself. Is that all you taught him? Tsunade said, looking at Jiraiya disappointed. What? No, that is just the thing he is most proud of, getting it down to one hand and his new variations of the jutsu. I taught him plenty, Jiraiya said defensively. Yeah, he taught me his INV. Naruto began, but had his mouth covered really quickly by Jiraiya. Hey, you want her to kill the both of us? That is not a jutsu you go bragging about, Jiraiya said as Naruto got a look of realization on his face at what the old perv used it for, and knew Tsunade would jump to conclusion and assume he used it for that as well, and killed the both of them. What was that? Tsunade questioned. Oh, he just taught me a lot on evasive maneuvers, like how to tail someone and how to lose a tail more easily. You know, the whole espionage thing, Naruto covered. Then why did you try to stop him from saying that? Tsunade asked. Well, I was supposed to be teaching him fighting techniques, not spy craft. Didn't want you blowing up on me for going off subject, Jiraiya covered. Honestly, I am just happy you didn't turn him into a pervert, Tsunade said. No, still working on that, Jiraiya said with a grin, giving Tsunade a tick mark above her eye. Well, is there anything you need, Bachan? I was hoping to get some ramen and surprise Sakura-chan before it got too late, Naruto said. Well, I guess we can test you tomorrow to see how you've progressed, Tsunade replied. Thanks, Naruto said with a smile and headed out the door. Alright, so what about the seal, is it holding? Tsunade asked the white-haired Sannin, who just sighed and looked back at her. Naruto walked down the street with a grin on his face, heading toward his favorite ramen stand when he passed by the window of the barbecue shop and saw a pink-haired kunoichi. I can go to Ichiraka anytime, I'll show up and surprise Sakura here and now, Naruto thought as he grinned to himself and entered the shop and spotted Sakura along with Ino, and he started to head over to their table. As he drew nearer to them, he began to hear their conversation. So how's the dating scene going? Came Ino's voice, getting Naruto to stop and remember something Jiraiya had once told him. Always gather as much information on a target before you make a move, whether it be in battle or love. Know who or what you're dealing with before you decide to attack or fall back and reassess the situation, came the old pervert's voice as he slid into a booth close enough to hear but still far enough away he wasn't easily seen. You know, Sasuke-kun is the only one for me, Sakura shot back at her friend. This gave Naruto a mixed feeling of joy and sadness, knowing she wasn't seeing anyone but also her. Feeling toward the team hadn't changed. Yeah, but since he isn't here doesn't mean you can't play the field a bit to find out what else is out there. Just cause I want Sasuke as well doesn't mean I won't see what else I could have. Maybe there is someone better out there I just haven't met yet. Ino replied. Well, you keep looking, I'll stick with Sasuke-kun. Sakura said. Well, you're no fun, just play along a little. Ino said. How about Kida? No, the smell of dog is just too much. Sakura replied, holding her nose. And don't even say Shino, I really hate bugs. Then Shikamaru? Ino asked. Too lazy. Sakura replied. Choji. Ino asked. Eats too much, I ain't good at cooking as it is. Sakura replied. Geez, why are girls so cruel like this? Naruto asked himself, at least the guys say it to each other's faces, have a good fight and best friends again the next day. MHMHO, I know. Ino said with a grin. What about Naruto? At this Naruto stated to listen real hard. What, no way, never. Sakura said with a blush. Oh, I see a blush there, you do like him, don't you? Ino said. What, no? Sakura said, gaining control of herself again. What, why not? He may be a knucklehead, but even though he wasn't all that pretty on the eyes, he was still young. I can't wait to see what he is like when he comes back from his training trip. Ino says, licking her lips. There is something I never told anyone before about Naruto. Sakura said as her head dropped a bit, getting both Ino and Naruto to listen in. My parents never liked the fact I was on his team. What? Why is that? Ino asked. They said he was a monster. Sakura said, getting Naruto's eyes got a look of pain, knowing what she was talking about. What, why would they say that? Ino asked. I don't know, but of course I didn't listen, because if I asked to be switched I would be taken away from Sasuke-kun, and I hadn't seen anything to warrant that fear. Sakura said, getting Naruto to let out a small breath. Until the Land of Waves mission. Sakura said. What happened then? Ino asked. In the report I said I didn't see what happened in the ice mirrors that Haku formed, but that was a lie. Sakura said, getting Naruto's fear to grow. I felt a wave of what I can only describe as pure evil resonate from it. To this day I will never forget, it struck fear to my very core. Then I saw Naruto covered in that orange chakra we saw him in when he fought Neji in the Chunin exams. She explained. Did he hurt you or Sasuke? Ino asked. No, he only beat the hell out of Haku, but even to this day I have had a slight fear of him. I don't know, maybe he is just a monster like my parents told me. Sakura said. At this Naruto nearly ran out of the restaurant without the two kunoichi noticing. Just then Sakura felt a slap across her face, and she looked up and saw Ino staring at her hard with anger. How dare you talk about your teammate like that? Ino almost yelled. What? Sakura said. Has he done anything to you for you to call him that? Ino asked. Because all I have ever seen him do for you is care for you, no matter how badly you treated him. Ino? Sakura stuttered. Sorry, I just get upset when people are mean to others or call them something that they don't really deserve. Ino sighed. This coming from the gossip queen? Sakura said. I just pass along what I've heard, not my own opinions. Ino said. And I may rip on my friends a bit but never call them a monster, especially when they haven't done anything to warrant it. Ino said. Right, sorry, it's just that's something I have never gotten out of my mind about him. Sakura said. Well, if you aren't gonna date him when he gets back, mind if I do? Ino asked teasingly, trying to lighten the mood. Naruto didn't know how far he had run, but when he stopped he found himself in Team 7's old training field. Why would she think that about me? Naruto asked himself as tears poured down his face. She fears you. Came a voice. What, who's there? Naruto called out. She is just like the rest of the village, she fears your power. The voice came again. No, she just doesn't understand. Naruto replied. What doesn't she understand? That you have a demon sealed inside you that could destroy the entire village? The voice asked. Yeah, if I just explain it to her she won't be afraid anymore. Naruto said, getting a slight bit of happiness. Or she will reject you completely, like the rest of the village. The voice said again. No, she won't do that. Naruto argued. Oh really, she already thinks of you as a monster. Demon isn't too far away from that. The voice came back. As Naruto heard this he began to realize the voice was right. An orange chakra began to seep out of him, forming the one-tailed fox cloak. Wait, that's you, isn't it, Fox? Naruto said with realization. So what if it is? Doesn't make it any less true. If she finds out the truth she will hate and fear you just like everyone else. Kyuubi said. No, she won't. Naruto began. What cares for you? You heard her with your own ears. She is scared of you and will never care for you like you do for her. I'm just trying to keep you from getting hurt even more. Kyuubi said. No, you're just trying to get out again. Naruto said. Maybe, but doesn't make what I said a lie. Kyuubi repeated as a second tail began to form and an image of Sakura appeared in Naruto's head of her seeing him like this. Oh my god, you are a monster like my parents said. I should have listened to them. The image said as fear went through her eyes. No, Sakura, please let me explain. Naruto began as he reached for her, and a third tail formed. No, get away from me. She cried as a fourth tail emerged and his skin began to peel away. Please Sakura, don't leave me, please. Naruto begged as he grabbed her hand. No, leave me alone, someone help the demon, has me help, the demon is here. She cried as a fifth tail emerged, and Sakura's image faded and Naruto was left alone again in the five-tailed state and going further. Yes, given to the despair and the loneliness, let me out. The Kyuubi yelled as all of a sudden chains ripped out of Naruto's body and anchored him to the ground. What? No, impossible. The Kyuubi screamed as the demonic energy was drained from Naruto's body and he reverted to normal and slumped to the ground on his knees. However, his hair changed from bright blonde to blood red, fading to blonde tips. Damned Kyuubi, how dare you try to use Sakura against me like that? Naruto said, but you know I'm right. She is your weakness, especially now. Kyuubi said. He knew the fox was right. She always was his weakness, and to get such an emotional reaction that almost released the Kyuubi on the village again. He knew he had to do something about it. Just then a squad of masked ANBU along with Tsunade and Jiraiya landed in the field to find Naruto chained to the ground. Naruto looked around at all the ANBU, and something hit him. Flashback. Alright, who can tell me what the ANBU are? Iruka asked his class. The best ninja in the village under the direct control of the Hokage. Sakura said excitedly, trying to impress Sasuke with her knowledge. Yes, but why are they the best? Iruka asked. Because they have full control over themselves, mind, body, and emotions. They control it all, not showing any weakness in any aspect. Sasuke said flatly. Yes, they have control over all these and even the hardest one, emotion. If you can control that, you can control the other two easily. Iruka said, and flashback. At remembering that and looking at the ANBU, he knew what he had to do. Who chained him up like this? Tsunade demanded. No one, Lady Hokage. Came one of the ANBU. He was like this when we got here. What? Tsunade asked. They're right, this is the Uzumaki Kekkai Genkai, Jiraiya said while inspecting the chain, getting both Naruto and Tsunade's attention. What? I didn't know the Uzumaki had a Kekkai Genkai. Tsunade said. It is very rare and mostly only the women get it. Only been a few documented cases of a male getting it. It is chains, as you see, that are very useful in sealing. It seems they have drained him of the demonic chakra that we had felt. Jiraiya said as he walked up to Naruto. Try retracting them back into your body? Naruto felt the chains in his body and focused on pulling them into himself, and they began to retract into him. Once they were retracted, he stood up and walked over to Tsunade. Bachan, I formally request to be put into the ANBU. Naruto said, looking up at her with now demonic slit red eyes and complete seriousness, and resolve that she could tell meant he wasn't going to take no for an answer. End Chapter 1. Chapter 2, Peepers and Demons. It was late afternoon as Sakura walked back from the main gate on one of her normal duties as Tsunade's apprentice. Why do I have to run these simple errands? Isn't this why she has a secretary? She sighed to herself. Hey, just be happy she isn't pounding you into the ground with her strength training in her. Said, yeah, I guess you're right. It's been 3 years since I started training with her, and it's been a grueling time since I mastered the basics of being a medic. Ever since then it's been body hardening and strength training. She sighed again as she approached the entry desk and took the day's sign-in sheet. As she walked into the Hokage's office, she saw her master taking another drink. She set the papers on the desk and looked at her master. You know, master, you shouldn't be drinking on the job. Hey, drinking helps reduce stress. Stress causes fatigue. Fatigue causes you to miss stuff. So 1 or 2 drinks actually help. Tsunade says with a smile. You say drinks and mean bottles? Sakura asked as she pulled 2 bottles of sake out of the garbage can. Never said the measurements of those drinks, did I? Tsunade says with a grin. Whatever, sure. I brought today's login sheet. Is there anything else you need? Sakura asked. No, you can have the rest of today off. Relax a bit. Tsunade said, waving her off. Thank you, sure. Sakura said with a bow and walked out the door. Sakura walked to her best friend's flower shop to see the ponytailed blonde. Hey Ino, she said as she walked through the door. Oh hi Sakura, what you up to today? Ino asked with a smile. Oh, not much, just got done with Lady Tsunade, and she gave me the rest of the day off. Sakura said. Alright, that's great, let's go to the hot springs. Ino shouted with a smile. What? Don't you have to work here? Sakura asked. Oh, we're almost closed for the day and Mom can handle the last hour, Ino said as she took off her apron and hung it up, then shouted to the back of the store. Hey Mom, I'm heading out with Sakura. Alright, you two have fun. Came her mom's voice and she dragged Sakura out of the shop and down the road. Sakura laid back and soaked in the hot springs. Alright Ino, you were right, this is just what I needed. See, never doubt me, alright? Ino said with a grin. Got it. She sighed as she sunk down to her chin in the hot water. So then how have things been going with you, Sakura? Ino asked, getting the pinkette to sit up a bit so she could talk. You know, good, considering Lady Tsunade has been running me into the dirt with strength training on top of the medical training. Sakura sighed. Well, that's all well and good, but I was more interested in your personal life. Like, found someone you like yet? Ino teased. I told you Sasuke-kun is the only one for me, Sakura said, and like I have told you before, just because he is the one doesn't mean you can't play the field a bit, Ino said with a mischievous grin. If so, then who do you like? Sakura said, trying to turn the tables. I asked first. Ino wagged her finger at her, getting Sakura to sigh. Anyway, how long has it been since Naruto left? She asked, looking for a reaction. About 3 years now. Why do you ask? Sakura asked innocently. Well, I am just wondering what he will be like when he gets back. He was always a child, but 3 years of hard training with a Sanin hopefully has matured him, Ino said. I have been training with one for just as long, Sakura said. Yeah, but you were able to go home and get away from it from time to time. He was never able to go home to get away from it, Ino said. Well, guess that's true, Sakura admitted. And I can't wait to see what he looks like when he gets back. Ino said with a sly grin looking at her friend. What do you mean? Sakura asked a bit confused. Oh, don't tell me you haven't thought about it. Ino asked. Thought about what? Sakura replied, still confused. About how hot he must be by now. Seriously, when we were younger he may not have been much to look at. But with his training mindset and his stamina he must be working out that body harder than ever, and the muscles must be forming in nicely, Ino said with a bit drool as she thinks about it. What? Sakura asks in shock as an image of Naruto with no shirt on showing off a hard chest of muscles and six-pack enter her mind. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about, come to mama. Ino drooled over the image as Sakura shook her head to get it out of her mind. I'm surrounded by perverts, Sakura said to herself, when she remembered something. Besides, he has been with Lord Jiraiya. Granted, he is an awesome ninja and Sannin, but he is also a self-anointed super pervert. The old saying goes the student and master aren't so different, or something like that, Sakura says with a wave of her hand. Then that would make you a drunk who has no luck? Ino shot back, getting Sakura to slump in defeat. Alright, maybe that philosophy doesn't hold true. Sakura sighs, getting Ino to grin in victory. Besides, would it be so bad if he came back a little perverted? With a body as I image, the knowledge of the greatest adult book writer, and the stamina that has no end, I don't see any downsides there, Ino says with a far-off look in her eyes. Great, I got a pervert for a best friend. Sakura sighs. I'm just kidding, Ino says with a giggle. Besides, he should be coming home soon anyway, and you'll see I'm wrong. Yeah, I hope so, Sakura replies. No, you don't. You hope she is right on the money. Well, I do anyway. Ino replies with a perverted grin. Shut it, Ino. Sakura sighs as she slides further into the water. After a few minutes she feels the water ripple as Ino gets out. She looks over to see Ino getting out of the water and wrapping herself in a towel, but instead of going to the exit she starts heading toward the fence. Ino, where are you going? Sakura asked. Thought I saw something, Ino says as she gets to the fence and squats down and starts to inspect the fence. Just then she begins to hear giggling coming from the fence. Damn, Ino, what are you doing over there? Sakura said as she got up and wrapped herself in a towel, then headed over to her friend. Ino shushed her friend as Sakura saw a little bit of blood dripping from her nose. Then pointed at the hole in the fence. I think I found the perfect man, she whispers as Sakura squats down and looks through the hole. As she looks through the hole, all she can see is the back of a man's head and his arms lying across the edge of the hot springs. He had blood-red hair fading into blonde tips. She then notices an ANBU tattoo on his right bicep. As she looks him over she begins to feel a blush spread across her face. Just then he started to stand up, and she got a glimpse at his toned back side and his well-developed back muscles. Then her eyes made their way up to his shoulders, and to her horror she saw the word demon carved into his back from shoulder to shoulder. The man reached for his towel, and just as he wrapped it around his waist she barely caught a glimpse of something heading straight at her. She jumped back from the hole just as the tip of a kunai plugged it up. Geez, that was close, Sakura said in shock as she stares at the point of the kunai that was deep enough through the hole it could have poked out her eye. Well, guess guys don't like being peeked on any more than we do, Ino said, but it was totally worth it to see that. Guess I know why they do it now, she said with a grin. Can you be any more perverted? Sakura asked as Ino got up. Hey, maybe if we hurry we can catch him in the lobby, Ino said as she got up and almost sprinted off to the exit. Ino, wait up, Sakura whined as she chased after her friend. They quickly got dressed and headed out to the main lobby, and looked around. Ino then went to the front desk and asked, has anyone come out of the male bath? No, nobody has come out of there, the clerk replied. Alright, so we didn't miss him, Ino said as Sakura sighed. Was there ever anyone in there? Sakura asked the clerk. No, no one has been in or out of the male's bath since you two have gotten here. Why was someone spying on you from there? The clerk asked with a bit of anger, looking at the male bath door. No, we just had a bad feeling, that was all, Sakura said. More like the other way around, she said to herself as she grabbed Ino's arm and dragged her away from the bathhouse. Okay, that's weird. I know we saw him. How did he get in and out without the clerk seeing anything? Ino asked. Did you not see the ANBU tattoo on his arm? Sakura asked. What? Ino asked, confused. There was ANBU tattoo on his right bicep. So he could have easily snuck in and gotten out without anyone noticing. Either that or he told the clerk to not let anyone know he was there. That is what they do, Sakura said. Well, looks like little miss I'm not a pervert was looking closely at that body of his now, weren't you? Ino replied in a teasing tone. Oh, shut up, you were the one who tricked me into looking, Sakura said as Ino began to walk off and Sakura followed her. Well, when you found out you didn't look away, did you? Ino asked as Sakura blushed, realizing she was right, and just followed in silence, thinking about what was carved into his back. Who are you and why did someone do that to you? She thought as she followed Ino and headed home. But unknown to them there was an ANBU sitting in a tree above them in silence, merely shaking his head before jumping off into the night. The next day Sakura was called into the Hokage's office. When she walked in she was confronted by Kakashi, Temari and Ino. Kakashi-sensei, haven't seen you in a while, Sakura said, seeing her old sensei. Yeah, I have been helping train up some new ANBU, Kakashi replied, rubbing the back of his head as he lowered his book. Ah, good, you're here, we can begin this briefing, Tsunade said as Sakura walked up to the desk. This morning we received word that the Sand Village was attacked. At this Ino and Sakura went wide-eyed. And the 5th Kazekage has been captured. What? Why? How? Sakura asked in shock. We believe it was a group known as the Akatsuki, who are hunting down the tailed beasts. Tsunade explained the San has requested assistance from us, and you are the only ones available to go. I would have left as soon as I had heard, but Lady Tsunade said she would gather a team to assist, so I waited. Temari added. Yes, now your mission is to go and assist in the search for Gaara. Also Kankuro the Kazekage and Temari's brother has been severely poisoned and needs you to heal him. Temari said. Yes, Shisho, when do we leave? Sakura asked. Once this briefing is done, go gather what you will need for this mission, and head out immediately. Tsunade said. She then looked at Temari. I wish I could send more support, but we just have everyone that would be of use already on mission. But as soon as a team becomes available I will send them. Thank you, Lady Hokage-sama. Temari replied. Alright, get to it then. Tsunade said as they all left the room. After a few moments she saw a shadow began to fidget, and she sighed and merely nodded as it disappeared. Sakura and the team had been going full speed to make it to the sand by nightfall, and she began treatment on Kankuro. After making a few antidotes for the poison and getting an hour's rest from the run and surgery, they were off again in search of Gaara along with the elder Lady Chiyo. They were currently following Pakun through the woods. After a while they came to a canyon with a river and a cave covered by a huge stone. Just then 4 more people jumped down next to them. Ah, Sakura-chan, it's so good to see you. One called out in an excited tone, getting everyone to see Team Guy standing along with them. Oh, hi there, Lee. Sakura said with a friendly smile and wave along with a sweat drop. Ah, the most beautiful Sakura-chan, will you go on a date with me? Lee calls out as he drops to a knee holding out his hand to her. Lee, we have more important thing at hand right now. Sakura said, getting a tick mark above her eye. Yes, we have a 5-part seal here and all 5 need to be removed at the same time. The first is there. Kakashi said, pointing at the giant rock. The others should be close by. Right, I have all 4 in sight, said Niji. Yash, I'll be the first to get to mine in the name of my love for Sakura. If I do not, I'll do a 300 laps around the village while doing squat thrusts, Lee said excitedly as he shot up and ran off. Oh, he does realize you didn't tell him where it was, right? Lady Chiyo asked as everyone just shook their heads and headed out as well. After a few minutes everyone was in position and signaled to remove the seal. Once Kakashi removed it, he jumped out of the way as Sakura ran and jumped, punching the massive boulder, pulverizing it into little bits. As the boulder fell apart, the team jumped into the cave and were faced with a hunchback and a blonde who was sitting on Gaara's body. Ah, Granny Chiyo, the hunchback said. Sasori, Chiyo said with venom, what have you done? That is the kage of your home, not my home anymore. Sasori said, then turned toward the blonde. Deidre, take the body out of here and I'll meet up with you when I'm finished here. Oh, I was hoping to have a show. Deidre sighed as a ball of clay fell out of his hand and it was enveloped by a cloud of smoke and a giant bird was in its place. He jumped on its back as the bird picked up Gaara's body and took off out the entrance. Go after him, I'll take care of this, Chiyo said as Kakashi nodded and he and Ino jumped after him, while Sakura stayed with Chiyo. I said go after him? She repeated. I heard, but what kind of girl would I be if I left an old lady here to fight this guy all alone? Sakura said with a smirk and cracked her knuckles, getting the old lady to smile. Sakura quickly jumped towards Sasori and his tail leapt out at her, but before it made contact a kunai intercepted it, and then it was ripped backward by an invisible force. That gave Sakura the opening she needed to land a hit on the hunchback's back. As she jumped away, Sasori began to break apart, and revealed a young man with red hair begin to stand up out of the husk, using a chakra string attached to the kunai, and then attaching it to my tail to give her an opening. Very clever, Granny. I'll congratulate you on being the first to get past Hiriko's defense, the redhead said, but I have plenty to replace him. He sighed as he pulled away his cloak to reveal he had turned himself into a puppet, getting the 2 women to gasp at what they were looking at. Since you got through my defense so well, I guess a reward is in order. We don't want anything from you, Sakura shot back. Then I guess you don't want to know the spy I have in Orochimaru's organization? Sasori replied, or is my intel incorrect about you still wanting to get that Uchiha back? What he knows about Sasuke? Sakura asks herself. Tell me, what do you know about him? Where is he? She screams. If you are able to defeat me, I will tell you where you can meet my spy, and he will tell you everything you need to know. Sasori replied. Then we will defeat you, and put an end to this once and for all, Chiyo said as she pulled out a scroll, and then in a puff of smoke 10 puppets appeared. This is my ultimate puppet technique, the mastery of setting 1 puppet per finger, she said with a bit of pride. How pathetic. Sasori spat. I've far surpassed you a long time ago, old lady, he said as he pulled out a scroll, and in another puff of smoke there were 100 puppets appeared, causing both women to go wide-eyed. Just then the puppets descended upon the 2 kunoichi. The battle lasted for a while, only leaving Chiyo with 1 puppet remaining and Sakura gasping for air, and Sasori had 10 puppets left. Well, guess this is the end for you, Sasori said as he sent all of his remaining puppets towards Sakura with their swords drawn. Sakura! Chiyo yelled as she sent her remaining puppet to intercept, but it was dispatched with ease. All Sakura could do was stand there and watch as the swords descended upon her, and she closed her eyes waiting for the swords to skewer her, but they never came. When she opened her eyes, she saw the back of a red-haired blonde-tipped ANBU with multiple blades sticking out from his back. Ah, so the 9-tailed Jinchuriki decided to come along as well. Sasori said with a smirk as Sakura just stared wide-eyed at the ninja in front of her. Well, looks like we will get two-tailed beasts out of this trip. He smirked. As Sasori gloated, the ANBU reached up to the sword on his back, pulling it out, and swung it down, breaking the sword, stabbing him, and the puppets jumped back. You're tough. Sasori smirked, but that won't help you now that my poison is in your blood. At that, Sakura snapped out of her shock and jumped to his side and looked up to see a fox mask on his face. Here, take this, it's an antidote for his poison, Sakura said as the ANBU pulled out the blades that were in him, and she braced herself as a burst of orange chakra shot out of him and began to surround him, and black stuff began to ooze out of his cuts as they healed themselves. Are using your own chakra to force out the poison, Sasori said, impressive, but even with your demon chakra it will completely drain you to get it all out, he said as he sent his puppets after him again. Once the puppets got close, the ANBU bolted with his sword at the ready and cut down the puppets faster than Sakura could keep up with. 1 minute he was standing next to her, next he was gone, and the puppets were cut in half. Oh no you don't, I still have one trick up my sleeve, Sasori said as he pulled out a scroll. But before he could open it, it was hit with a kunai, knocking it out of his hands. Just then he felt something impact him. He looked down, and saw the ANBU's sword sticking out of his chest where his heart should be. Well, looks like I lost our little wager, Sasori said with a cough. I'm supposed to meet my spy in Orochimaru's organization at the Tenchi Bridge in 10 days, he coughed out as he faded away. The ANBU pulled out his sword and let the body slump to the ground, and then swung his blade, flicking the poison that had remained on it off, and sheathed the sword. Thank you, Sakura said as she walked up to him, only for him to look down at her. She looked up and saw red slit eyes behind his mask, and a pang of fear coursed through her body. Maybe next time you won't freeze up and I won't have to save your ass, the ANBU said in a cold tone, as he walked past her toward the exit, leaving a shocked and stunned Sakura where she was. He is right, if I hadn't frozen up he wouldn't have had to save me, she said to herself. Forget him, even if he is hot as hell, he is just Ina replied. Come on, we'll show him we are a force to be reckoned with. We were trained by a Sanin, right? Ina said. You just gonna stand there, or are we going to catch up with the rest of your team? The ANBU asked, getting ready to head out. Oh right, Sakura said as she ran over to him and Lady Chio, and they jumped away, heading down the river. After a while Sakura looked over toward the ANBU and asked out, but didn't know what to call him. It's Fox, Fox said, answering her unasked question. Yeah, Fox, how do you know we are going the right way? Sakura asked. I can smell them, Fox replied. What are you, in Inuzuka? She asked. You're not supposed to ask an ANBU who they are, especially in front of non-village ninjas, Fox said, annoyed. Oh right, sorry, Sakura replied. I can smell the smoke from the explosives that guy has used. If you focus you can smell the smoke left behind by them as well, he said, getting her to sniff, and she could smell the faint scent of burning smoke. Oh yeah? She said with realization. And those craters and burn marks are also pretty good indications, Fox said, pointing to the small craters scattered across the walls of the canyon they were running through. Oh right, she said under her breath. Just then they heard an explosion in the distance. Good, we're close. Hurry up, he called back as he quickened his pace, leaving the two kunoichi in his dust. Damned, wait up, Sakura called out to him, but he didn't listen. Damned, why won't he listen? She cursed. Because he is an ANBU, Chio said, getting Sakura to look over at her. If yours are anything like ours, they live by their own standards, and if you can't keep up you get left behind. They don't like working with those that are not at their level. That is why they only accept the best within their ranks. I know, but we are a team and should stick together, Sakura said as they jumped into a clearing and saw Fox standing next to Kakashi in a fighting position, looking toward the blonde-haired man that they had been after. Now he only had one arm. Sakura, came Ino's voice, getting Sakura to look over at her. Oh, thank God you're okay, she said, running over to her. Well, since those two are here, I'm guessing Sasori is dead, Deidre said. Yes, Sasori of the Red Sand is dead, Chio said. Well, I'm surrounded and severely outnumbered and running low on clay. Guess there is only one thing left to do, Deidre said. Surrender? Sakura asked. No, to do one last piece of art, Deidre said with a smile, and pulled out the rest of his clay and ate it. His body began to bulge and expand. Shit, he's going to blow, Kakashi yelled and began to use his Mangekyo Sharingan. Just then there was an explosion, and Kakashi was breathing heavily, slumped on one knee. Aha, I tried to get it all, but it was just too much. You got enough, we are alright, Fox said to him as he offered him a hand. And should have known you would have come on this mission, Kakashi said as Sakura and Ino walked up to them. Wait, Kakashi-sensei, you know him? Sakura asked. But before she could get an answer, Fox walked past her. She looked and watched as he walked toward Lady Chio, who was kneeling over Gaara's body with her hands on him, looking like she was trying to heal him. Fox walked up to her, and she was out of breath, gasping for air. Damned, I don't have enough chakra to do this, she cursed herself as she looked up and saw Fox standing over them. And what do you want? She spat as he got down on his knees and put his hand over hers and began to put his chakra into her jutsu, and it began to work. So who is he? Sakura asked. You know I can't tell you that, Sakura, Kakashi said. I know, but there is just something about him that is nagging at me, I just can't quite place it, Sakura said as they began to walk over to them, and Chio's hands stopped glowing and she fell to the ground. Sakura ran over to and began to try to heal her, but she quickly found out she was dead. That was when Gaara began to stir and sit up. What happened? Gaara said as he looked around confused. Lady Chiyo gave her life so you could live on. Fox said as he held out his hand to help him up. She will be remembered and honored. Gaara said as he stood all the way up. Gaara-sama. Came two high-pitched voices as two girls jumped and hugged him. That was when they noticed the group of sand ninjas standing in front of them. Kazakage-sama, you're alright. They all said as they ran to him and began to throw him up into the air with joy as the leaf ninja watched. Hey Sakura, isn't that the guy we were spying on in the hot springs? Ino whispered to Sakura, getting her to tense up as she looked over at him from the back and realized it was the same hair and tattoo. Oh my god, it is him. Sakura said to herself. Well, maybe this means we'll get to see him more often. Ino said with an evil grin, and even if he does have a demon inside him, he isn't too bad, especially on the eyes. At this her eyes bulged in realization at remembering that Sasori had called him the nine-tailed Jinchuriki. As she was having this conversation with herself, Ino was on the outside trying to talk to her but was getting no response. She then looked over and saw Fox was walking over to Kakashi, and she decided to see if she could find out anything more about this mysterious man. Hi there, Ino said as she walked up to the two, only for Fox to look at her for a second, then back to Kakashi. I'll be heading back to the village then, Fox said to the silver-haired jonin. Did I just get ignored? Ino asked herself. Hey, I'm talking to you, Ino shouted. No, you're interrupting our conversation, Fox said, looking at her with a glare. Now, Fox, calm down, she is just curious, not every day an ANBU comes along on a mission, Kakashi said. Very well, Fox sighed as he dropped the glare. Like I said, I'll head back to the village and give the Hokage my report. It may take us a while, I had to use that technique too many times and feel really weak, Kakashi said. Yeah, I feel a bit drained as well, had to use a lot up myself, Fox said as he pulled out a solider pill and put it in his mouth under his mask. You know, those are for just quick fixes, not to be too heavily relied on, Kakashi said. It's enough to get me back, so I'll see you later, Kakashi-sensei, he said as he jumped away. At hearing that, Sakura broke out of her little argument and went over to Kakashi. Did he just call you sensei? Yes, that is why you haven't seen me around lately, is because he is one of the new up and coming ANBU and they wanted me to train him, Kakashi said. Oh, alright, that makes sense, Sakura said. Never knew you were such a big shot within the ANBU, they would call you back to train a new one. Well, I was one of the best ANBU captains in the village till the third made me your jonin instructor, Kakashi said, getting the two girls to look at him in shock. And you never truly leave the ANBU, they can always call you back if you're needed. And is that why you were chosen to train our village's Jinchuriki? Sakura asked, getting Kakashi to look at her in shock. How do you know about that? Kakashi asked with shock. Sasori called him the nine-tailed Jinchuriki during our fight, Sakura said. Wait, Jinchuriki are those people you and Lady Chiyo were talking about earlier, who have a tailed beast in them like Gaara, right? Ino asked. Yes, Kakashi said, but don't hold that against him, he is really a good guy at heart. I wasn't going to. He saved my life against Sasori, I would just like to see him again to thank him for saving me, Sakura said. Yeah, that sounds like him, Kakashi said with a bit of a smirk as Guy's team landed not too far from them. And don't mention that to anyone but the Hokage, it's an S-rank secret, Kakashi whispered, getting the two kunoichi to nod their heads as Guy's team walked up to them. I need to find out who he is, Sakura said to herself as they all headed back to the hidden sand village. And Chapter 2. Chapter 3 Reunions. Sakura and the two teams that had been sent on the sand mission had taken a day at the sand for a little rest and were currently only a few miles from the border of the Land of Wind and Land of Fire. They still had 2 more days of travel before they got back to the village. Alright, we're almost to the border, we should stop and rest once we cross the border, Kakashi said as he was leaning on Guy. That's it, I can't take it anymore, Guy yells as he tosses Kakashi up into the air, and he lands on his back. This will be faster, he says as he takes off at a dead sprint. Ah yes, such a good idea of training, Lee shouts in excitement as he throws his pack in front of him and bends over ready to carry someone. Niji. No way in hell, Niji yells at him, breaking the normal stone-faced Hyuga. Then let me take your packs, he says excitedly. Fine, if it will get us out of taking a piggyback ride from you, Niji said as he tossed his pack on Lee's back, as did everyone else. Now to catch up with Guy-sensei, Lee yelled as he shot off after his sensei. They do realize we were going to rest for the night, right? Ino asked. Yeah, once they get like this there is no changing their minds, Niji said as he shook his head. Let's just catch up with them, he said as he jumped after them. Welcome to our world, Ten said as she followed them. Great, I was hoping to get some sleep, Ino whined. Stop complaining and come on, Sakura said as they followed after them. After another day of straight running, it was dusk as the two teams came to the village gates. Alright Guy, you take Kakashi to the hospital, I'll let the Hokage know we're back, Sakura said as she broke off from the group. As she rounded the corner to the Hokage's office, she began to hear voices coming from the office. She silently walked to the door and peeked through the crack in between the two doors. Are you sure? Tsunade asked. Yes, Hokage-sama, he said in 10 days that he is supposed to meet his contact within Orochimaru's organization. Sakura saw the back of the ANBU who had saved her. That was 3 days ago, so we have 7 to organize a team to get over there. And that is what your apprentice is about to tell you once she is done peeping on us. At this, Sakura froze up, realizing she was caught, and walked in. Hi Tsunade Shursho, Sakura said as she walked in awkwardly seeing the Fox ANBU glaring at her. You know it is dangerous to spy on an ANBU, Fox berated, and I'm not only talking about when they are giving a report. He said intensifying his glare. Ah shit, he knows it was us. She thought to herself. Ah damn, now he thinks we're perverts and won't go out with us. Inner cries. If that is all, ma'am, I will take my leave. Fox says as he shins out of there. I won't ask about what he was talking about. All I'll say is you have to be more careful, especially around ANBU. You may be my apprentice, but spying on a report by an ANBU, they have every right to kill you for that. Tsunade said. Yes, I'm sorry, Shursho. Sakura replied, bowing. It's alright, if he was going to kill you he would have done it. Tsunade replied, waving it off, so I have his report, but I want to hear your side of it. Yes, Shursho. Sakura said as she began to give her report, then got to the part where the ANBU had jumped in front of the puppets protecting her, and I froze up and he jumped in the way of the blades protecting me from them. Sakura said after a held breath. Then he quickly dispatched the rest of the puppets and killed Sasori after forcing out the poison with his own chakra. Well, he does have an absurd amount of it, and his control of it is also significant. Tsunade replied, and after he defeated Sasori, that is when he told us about his meeting with his mole. Sakura said, then finished the rest of her report. Very well, I'll get a team set up to go investigate this lead. Tsunade replied, go get some rest, come back tomorrow at 1700. Yes ma'am, Sakura said as she turned around and walked out of her office. Well, looks like it's time for you to officially come back. Tsunade said to herself. After relaxing most of the day, Sakura was heading to the Hokage's office with a big grin on her face, knowing they were one step closer to finding her lost teammate. She only wished her other teammate was there to share in the joy. You miss the excitable idiot, don't you? Inner asked. Yeah, it's been so long since I've seen him. I wonder how much he's changed and how strong he's gotten. She replies. Yeah, I wonder what he looks like now. Inner said with a mischievous grin. No, not like that, he is a teammate and a close friend. Sakura replied as she entered the Hokage building. Who says we can't get close to our close friends? Inner replied. I'm not having this conversation with you again. Sakura said to her inner demon as she walked into the Hokage's office. You wanted to see me, Shursho? Sakura asked as she stood in front of her desk. Yes, I found the first member of the squad that will be going with you to the Tenchi Bridge, Tsunade asked, and I don't like it one bit. Came a familiar voice, causing Sakura to turn around and see Fox leaning against the wall in the shadows. He then pushed off the wall and walked up next to her. Just to tell you I'm against this, I say give me an ANBU squad and we will get him. Yes, I have noted your suggestion. Tsunade said, getting a tick mark on her forehead. And I believe you two have the best chance of success in bringing Sasuke back. The two of us? Sakura thought to herself as she looked at Fox. Who is this guy? Oh, I didn't miss it, did I? Came another voice, causing Sakura to turn around and see Jiraiya sitting in the open window. Lord Jiraiya? Sakura asked in shock. If you're back, then that means she began, then looked over at Fox with shock. Fox, I am removing you from ANBU status to return to normal ninja forces. Now remove your mask, Tsunade said as Fox grumbled and his demonic slit eyes closed, and he removed the mask, revealing the face of a young man with whisker marks. Then he opened his eyes and she saw those sky blue eyes. However, now instead of the joy they normally held, they were cold and lacked anything she could recognize from when they were kids. Naruto? Sakura asked in shock. Who did you expect? Naruto asked, putting his mask on his belt. You're back? You're an ANBU? Sakura asked in shock. Wow, nothing gets past you. He retorted sarcastically. But when? How? How long have you been back? Sakura asked, still as shocked. About a year and a half, Naruto replied. What, a year and a half? She asked, shocked. Is there an echo in here? Yes, I got done with my training with the old perv in half the time it was supposed to take. Naruto shot back. But why did you join the ANBU and not come back, and not tell me you were back? Sakura asked. I have my reasons. Naruto said, and seriously, if this is how she is going to be, I seriously doubt she is up to par to be teamed up with me. He said, looking over at Tsunade. What? Oh no, he didn't just insult us. Inner yelled in her head. Oh, you don't think I'm up to snuff? Sakura asked as killing intent was radiating off of her. Then having a little spar with me won't be any problem, she offered as anger filled her voice as she clenched down on the chair that was next to her, breaking the backrest with her grip alone. Sure, why not? Naruto sighed, brushing off her killing intent as if it was nothing, and turned and headed to the door. I'll meet you in training area 7, right behind you, she said evilly. Well, I can see she picked up those anger management issues from you. Jiraiya chuckled with a hint of fear as he turned towards Tsunade, who was glaring at him. Well, let's go see how our students have grown, shall we? Jiraiya said, jumping out the window before Tsunade could get a hold of him. The four of them were now standing in the open field of the training area. However, instead of the standard ANBU gear, Naruto was wearing a black flak jacket over a black long-sleeved shirt with orange shoulders that turned into strips along the arm, with black fingerless gloves, as well as black combat pants that had a strip of orange going down the side, and instead of the standard ANBU sword he had one with black and orange weave around the handle across his back. When did you get changed? Sakura asked. I shot back to my place, changed over, then came over here. Since I'm no longer on the ANBU roster, can't be walking around in their gear, can I? Naruto asked. Alright, you ready? Sakura asked as she got into a fighting pose as he just shrugged. Alright, if you two are ready, begin. Tsunade said as Sakura shot straight at him, and he merely jumped away, causing her to punch the ground leaving a huge crater. Well, seems you've increased your strength. Naruto replied dryly. Oh, and that isn't the only thing I've increased, Sakura said as she charged at him. As she did this, he put his hand in his weapons pouch, causing her to stop in her tracks to see what he was pulling out. But instead of pulling out any weapons, he pulled out a small green book. The hell are you doing? Sakura asked. Reading, Naruto replied as if it was obvious. Why, we are in the middle of a fight. Sakura shot at him, getting her angrier as she gets a look at the title of the book, Ika Tactics. To find out what happens, of course. Naruto replies as Sakura goes into a rage and charges at him, swinging and yelling. How dare you read that smut while in front of me, let only while in the middle of our fight where I'm trying to show you how much I've grown. She yelled as she swung but never touched him. Grown? Naruto scoffed. Don't make me laugh. You haven't changed a bit, he said, never taking his eyes off the book. Still prone to overreacting outbursts over little shit. Sure, you have the strength to pulverize boulders, but that doesn't mean shit if you can't touch me, he said as he jumped out of the way. Oh, just wait, I'll get you, Sakura said as he stopped and lowered his book as she swung for his face and felt it connect. But when she looked, she saw he had easily deflected her fist. Also, if someone knows how to counter it, what do you have? Naruto asked as he put his book away. All I have to is not get hit by your fist that has your chakra stored up in it, so I deflect at your wrist. He sighed. Oh, I ain't done yet, Sakura said as she threw everything she had at him, but he still simple deflected the punches. I'm getting tired of this. Naruto sighed as he caught her fist in his hand, causing her to look at him in shock. He then kneed her in the gut, getting her off the ground, then swung around and kicked her into a nearby tree. How? Came Sakura's voice out of the dust as she stood up slowly. How did you catch my punch so easily? Who has that technique been on used the most? Naruto asked, only to get a confused look on her face, getting him to shake his head. The old perv has been hit by that so many times. It isn't even funny. Only an idiot would be hit by the same attack that many times and not figure out how to counter it. And he then taught it to me, knowing you would be trained in the same way, he said, getting both Sakura and Tsunade to go wide-eyed and Jiraiya to start inching away from the blonde. What is he talking about, Jiraiya? Tsunade asked. Ahaha. Jiraiya stalled. It's simple, you have no real strength, you simply focus your chakra to a pinpoint location in your fist, and then release it on contact with your target. Naruto replied, explaining her technique so simply. But if I focus enough chakra into the spot you are about to hit, it cancels out your chakra, causing it no damage, only what your body can do physically. Which isn't much, he replied, getting the two medical ninjas to realize he was right. Well, that isn't the only thing I have, Sakura replied as she charged at him. I'm getting tired of this. Naruto sighed as he went through some hand signs and slammed his palm on the ground. His toads won't be able to help him, Ina said as he just stood there with his hand on the ground. Wait, he didn't draw any blood for a summons, Sakura thought as she felt something tighten around her ankle, and she fell face first on the ground. She tried to push herself off the ground, but all of a sudden she felt something wrap around her, pinning her to the ground. The hell is going on? She shouted as she turned her head, looking around, seeing Naruto only a few feet away from her, then saw that it was red chains holding her down. My Kekkei Genkai, Naruto said. These chains won't hold me. Putting chakra into a certain point and releasing it on contact may be my primary technique, but not my only one, Sakura said as she focused her chakra into her muscles and tried to break free of the chains. Sorry, not gonna work. These chains are pure chakra and they have a special ability to drain their victim of chakra and channel it to me, Naruto said as he drew out his sword and brought it up over his head and stabbed it down into the ground inches from Sakura's face. He got down onto a knee and whispered, maybe I am just a monster. At this her eyes bulged, hearing her own words spoken back to her. Once he did that, he stood up and released his chains and sheathed his sword. This match is over, he said as he walked over to Tsunade and Jiraiya. She isn't ready, he said simply. Still, she will be going on your mission, Tsunade said. Very well, I'll be waiting for further word, Naruto said as he began to walk away. Tomorrow my office, noon, Tsunade said. Yes ma'am, Naruto said coldly as he shined away as the sun began to set. While he was leaving, Sakura hadn't moved as she was having an internal battle in her mind. Oh my god, he heard what we said that day, Sakura said to herself. That is why he is so angry at us, Ina said in an uncharacteristically sad tone. We need to find him and apologize. It must have hurt him even more because of the 9 tails. Ina finished as Sakura's eyes bulged in realization. As she was having this argument, Tsunade and Jiraiya walked up to her. You alright? Tsunade said, getting the girl to look up at her master, and then stood up with tears in her eyes and hugged her. Don't worry, it's alright. Don't beat yourself up about it, you did good. He is one of our top ANBU, Tsunade said, trying to comfort her. Yeah, he can even go toe-to-toe with me now, Jiraiya said, trying to help and cheering her up. That's not it, Sakura said through tears. I called him a monster, she sobbed, getting a confused look from the two Sannin. What do you mean you called him a monster? Tsunade said. Over a year ago I was having dinner with Ino, and he came up in the conversation, and then I called him a monster to her, she cried, getting the two elders to look at each other. He must have overheard me because he repeated back those words to me just now, she cried. Oh, it's okay, Tsunade hugged her tighter. You'll get through this. He will get over it. No, I said such mean things not knowing what he was back then. Sakura sobbed. What do you mean what he was? Tsunade asked. That he has the nine-tailed fox in him. She sobbed. How do you know about that? Tsunade asked her, holding her away from her for a moment. Sasori said it when Naruto first appeared and saved me. Sakura said, and then I remembered what Lady Chiyo and Kakashi said about Jinchuriki's being shunned as monster for bearing the demons. Don't worry, Sakura, you know it was wrong and will apologize to him later. Tsunade said as she got done to look her in the eyes for comfort. Everything will be fine. Really? Sakura asked. Well, it may take a bit of work, you know how thick-headed he can be. Tsunade said with a smile, but eventually he will accept your apology, but right now you need to get home and get some rest while he blows off some steam. Alright. Sakura sighed as she let Tsunade take her away. Oh, and I haven't forgot about you. Tsunade said, turning toward Jiraiya. Me, what did I do? Jiraiya asked. That book, Tsunade said, raising an eyebrow. It hasn't been released to the public, so the only place he could get a copy of it is from you. Would I want a review of it before I send it off to the stores? Jiraiya said innocently as Tsunade glared at him while leading Sakura off. Over at the hospital, Naruto snuck into Kakashi's window. So then, since you don't have your ANBU stuff on, I'm guessing you are back in the regular ninja forces? Kakashi asked. Yep, even got put with Sakura again. Naruto sighed. Good, it'll be good for you two to reconnect. Kakashi replied with a smile. You are the only one I told about that night, you know how I feel about her now. Naruto said. Oh, is that why you threw yourself in front of those swords for her? Kakashi asked. I don't know what happened, my body just moved on its own. Naruto replied. I think that deep down you still care for her the same way you did when you were kids. Kakashi replied, getting Naruto to sigh. Maybe, but I ain't ready to forgive her just yet. Naruto sighed. I'm not telling you to. But remember, when she first felt the fox's chakra she was only 12, and that chakra is intimidating to even the most hardened ninja, so it's no shock. She was afraid of it when she felt it, and back then she didn't know about your burden. Kakashi said. Yeah, and now that she knows I'm Fox and Sasori called me out on being the nine-tailed Jinchuriki right in front of her, it won't take long for her to figure it out. Naruto sighed. Maybe it's a good thing. Kakashi said, getting Naruto to raise an eyebrow at him. I'm just saying now that she knows it will be easier for her to understand your burden better, and maybe help you with it. Kakashi said, getting him to shrug a bit, and now that you got beating the hell out of her out of your system, let her try to make up for it. How did you know I beat the hell out of her? Naruto asked. Come on, I've known you two since you were genin, and you have always spoken best through your fists, and she not as much, but she also does as well, Kakashi said, causing Naruto to sigh again. One of these days you gotta tell me why you are so good at this psychiatrist shit. Naruto said as he walked toward the window. Personal experience of loss before acting on it. Also, I tried to do the same thing you have been doing. Kakashi sighed, trying to bury your emotions within the ANBU. It doesn't work, trust me. He finished, getting Naruto to stop at the window and a sullen look to go across his face. Oh, almost forgot, brought you a present. Naruto said as he walked back to Kakashi's bed and pulled something out of his weapons pouch and held up a little green book that caused Kakashi's eye to nearly bulge out of his head. Is that? Kakashi asked. Yep, an advanced copy of Ika Tactics before even the review staff gets their hands on it. Naruto replied as he set it on the bedside table. It's really good, probably the best one yet. So since you were so helpful with training and everything else, I'm giving it to you as a get well soon present. He said as he walked back over to the window. But I can't move my body at all. Kakashi says, how am I supposed to hold it to read it? What's the point of getting a get well soon present if you can use it before you get well? It's incentive to get better. Naruto said with a smirk as he jumped out the window. That sadistic bastard. Kakashi cursed as he began to cry himself to sleep. Tsunade was letting Sakura lean on her as she guided the half-asleep Kunoichi toward her home, when Ino came around the corner. Oh hi Hokage-sama, Sakura, Ino said in a cheerful voice, but as she got closer she saw Sakura was out of it. She also looked like she was beat up pretty bad and her eyes were puffy like she had been crying. What's wrong with Sakura? She asked in a concerned tone. She just overdid it in a sparring match. Tsunade replied. With who? Ino asked. I know it wasn't you because you have a strict rule of 2 days off before training again after a mission like the one we just had. Also, a fight with you wouldn't make her cry and cause her eyes to puff up like that. Well, you see. Tsunade said, trying to find a cover story. Naruto, I'm sorry Naruto, please forgive, Sakura said in a dreamlike voice. What about Naruto? Ino asked, looking at Tsunade, who had the face of someone who was caught with her hand in the cookie jar. Alright, Naruto is back and had a spar with her. Things got heated and he went a little overboard. Tsunade replied. No, the Yamanaka clan could sense deceit easily, making them one of the best interrogation specialists in the village. Nothing she said was untrue, just not the whole truth. What, Naruto's back in the village? Ino asked. Yes, he is, and he just went a bit overboard with the spar and that was it. Tsunade repeated. Okay, I'm going to go find him and give him an earful, because if it was just a spar she wouldn't be crying like that. Ino said as she ran off. Ino ran around the village looking everywhere for the blonde to no avail. She was about to give up when she spotted the long blackish-blue hair of a certain Hyuga. Hey Hinata? Ino called out, causing the Hyuga heiress to turn around. Oh hi there, Ino. How are you doing? Hinata asked. Alright, but I need your help. Ino replied. Okay, but with what? Hinata asked a bit confused. Use your Byakugan to find Naruto. Ino said. Wait, Naruto-kun? Hinata stuttered. He is back? Yeah, Lady Tsunade just told me he had a fight with Sakura. Now I'm going to see what it was all about. Ino explained. They had a fight? Hinata asked, getting a little excited, thinking that he finally got rid of his crush for her, and made an opening for her to slip into. Yeah, he made her cry, and I'm going to see why. Ino replied. Now get to the finding already. Right. Hinata said as she activated her Byakugan and began to search. There he is, she exclaimed. Are you sure? Ino asked. Yes, his chakra has changed slightly, but that is him, I'm sure. Hinata replied. Alright, let's go. Ino said as they headed out toward Naruto. They jumped from rooftop to rooftop and finally landed a little ways away from him. Alright, where is he? Ino asked, looking around. Right there. Hinata said, pointing to a man with blood-red hair fading into blonde. As soon as she saw where she was pointing, she shot over to him without looking too closely at him. Well, hello Ino, Hinata. Naruto said as they came up to him. Thought I felt someone looking at me with a Byakugan. He replied. Wait, you could tell I was looking at you? Hinata asked with shock. You weren't really trying to suppress it in any way? Naruto replied. Anyone who knew what to feel for could sense it. You could feel me? She asked, going red and fainting. She still does that? Naruto asked, pointing at her. Well, you've been gone for 3 years, so yeah, apparently. Ino sighed. But that isn't why I'm here, she said as Hinata began to pick herself off the ground. And why are you here trying to peep on me in the hot springs again? But with Hinata instead of Sakura this time. Naruto asked, causing both girls to go red. Nana Naruto-kun in the hot springs. Hinata said as an image of Naruto in the hot springs entered her mind, and she passed out again. What? Ino asked in shock. How did you know we were there and it was us? Well, first think about who my master is. Naruto replied and paused for a second. Because of him I know where every peep hole in Fire Country is, as well as most of the rest of the countries. Don't even get me started on Land of Hot Water. Yeah, well. Ino stuttered. But no, that isn't why I'm here. Then what? Naruto asked as Hinata woke back up and got up. It's Sakura. You made her cry because of your spar. Ino replied. At this his eyes lost any kind of kindness that were there and killing intent began to resonate off of him. And I'm supposed to care? Naruto replied. Well, she is your teammate and friend. Ino said, holding back from trembling. What is wrong with him? Hinata asked herself as her knees began to shake. Just being in Naruto's presence. This isn't the Naruto-kun I know, not the one I fell in love with, she said to herself. I'll give you credit, not many can stand up to my killing intent and still hold firm like that. Naruto said with a smirk that sent a chill down both Kunoichi's spins. But next time you come to chew me out for something, get the whole story, he said as he turned around. As for me, I'm going to get a drink, he said as he headed toward the open door of a bar. Hey, wait, you're only 16, you can't drink. Even if you're a ninja and underage genin still can't drink. Ino shouted as she ran after him as he walked through the door. Haha, genin, that's cute, Naruto said as Ino and Hinata walked through the door after him, but instead of being in a bar they were walking out the door of the bar they had just tried to enter. What the hell? Ino asked as she looked around and turned around and tried to get in again, but only to have the same results. Okay, seriously, what the hell? Just then 2 guys walked out of the bar, one with blonde hair and another with black hair and white eyes of the Hyuga. Shugo-kun? Hinata said to the Hyuga that was walking out, who looked over at her. Oh, Lady Hinata, what are you doing here? Shugo asked, a little shocked. You shouldn't be in this part of town. But my friend went into that bar and we are trying to follow him, but can't, Hinata explained, getting the 2 to look back into the bar. And you won't be able to, Shugo said. What, why not? Hinata asked. Because there is a genjutsu on the place, only people with the proper seal can get in. Shugo explained. What seal is that? Ino asked. This one, the blonde that was with him said as he pulled up his sleeve showing an ANBU tattoo. That is an ANBU tattoo, Hinata said as things began to fall into for Ino place as she thought about the past couple of days. The tattoo on Naruto's arm when she saw him in the hot spring, the fox ANBU having the same hair as Naruto had now. My god, he is, Ino began, but had her mouth covered by the other blonde that was with the Hyuga. If you're following the person I think you are, just drop it. He doesn't like people tailing him, let alone knowing he is even here, the blonde said. You mean Naruto-kun is AAA? Hinata began but couldn't finish, looking at the other Hyuga. I'm sorry, my lady, I can't confirm or deny who is or isn't, Shugo said. Well, since we just watched him go in that bar, it's pretty obvious, Ino said. Sorry, but allow me to escort you home, Lady Hinata, Shugo said as Hinata followed him away. And Inoichi would kill me if he found out I found you in this part of the village at this time of day, and just left you here, the blonde said as Ino got a better look at him, and realized he was from her clan, a distant cousin or something. Fine, only cause I know you tell my father, and he would raise all sorts of hell. Ino sighed. So just let us not tell him where you found me. My lips are sealed, the man said as he led her away. Naruto, what happened to you? Ino thought as she glanced back at the bar and walked away. Naruto sat in the bar with a drink. Thanks guys, he mumbled as he drank his drink. End Chapter 3. Chapter 4. A new team. Sakura walked into the Hokage's office at noon. Her eyes were still puffy and red from crying most of the night. As she walked into the office and saw Naruto standing in front of the desk with his arms crossed, just giving her a hard look. Ah, good you're here, Tsunade said as she saw her apprentice walk in. Ah yes, sure. She said, getting Naruto to turn around and look at Tsunade as she walked up next to him. I wanted to inform you I've selected new team members for this mission to recover Sasuke, she said, getting both of their attentions. First is Sai. She says as a pale boy with black pants and a vest that showed off his midriff walked in with a creepy fake smile on his face. Hi, I'm Sai. The boy said, still keeping the creepy look on his face. Could he at least try to make that fake smile work? Inner said as they felt a shiver run down her spine as she looked and saw that Naruto was glaring at him. And your second member and captain of the squad is Captain Yamato. Tsunade replied as a man with brown hair wearing a headband that covered the sides of his face walked into the room. At seeing the man and then hearing his name, Naruto cocked an eyebrow as Yamato walked up to him. Hi there, it will be a pleasure working with all of you, Yamato said as he extended his hand shaking Naruto's. You as well, Captain, Naruto said with a friendly smirk. And you must be Sakura, I've heard a lot about you. It's an honor to work with you, Yamato said walking up to her and shaking her hand as well. Very well, since you have been introduced I'll turn the floor over to Naruto to debrief you on the mission at hand, Tsunade said as Naruto walked up in front of the desk. Thank you, Lady Hokage, Naruto said as he then turned around to look at the team. But as he said that, Sakura noticed a small tinge of pain go across Tsunade's face when he spoke to her. Alright, 5 days ago we received intel about the meet between an Akatsuki member and his mole that infiltrated Orochimaru's organization and a possible location on Sasuke. Uchiha, Naruto said in a professional manner. Wow, he is nothing like that knuckle-headed spaz he was when he was a kid. Inner said, yeah, he has certainly changed. Sakura said as a sad look went across her face. You miss the old him, don't you? Inner asked. Yeah, he may have been a baka, but he was our baka, Sakura said when she heard something snapping in front of her, and she looked up and saw Naruto's hand snapping in front of her. Hey, Captain, Yamato asked you a question, Naruto said as she realized she zoned out. Oh right, sorry, what? Sakura asked. I was just wondering why this Sasori guy gave you this information, Yamato replied. Oh right, he said it was a gift for having beaten him, Sakura replied. I don't know, it seems pretty suspicious to me. Yamato said it could be a trap, because why else would they hand over a spy like that? I thought the same thing, and it has crossed my mind this may be a trap, Naruto replied. And you're still willing to risk it? Yamato asked. Trap or not, this is the first lead he have had on recovering Sasuke, so we can't dismiss it simply because it could be a trap, Naruto replied. That is very true, Yamato replied. It also gives us a second opportunity, Naruto replied, getting everyone's attention. We have been hunting down Orochimaru for years, and this is also one of the first leads we have had on him, Naruto replied as Yamato let a small bit of anger go across his face. So even if we don't find Sasuke, we could still gather some intel on that snake-faced bastard, Naruto replies. Agreed, Yamato replied. He has been running free and causing havoc for too long. Yes, but our primary objective is Sasuke. We want to bring him in alive, Naruto said, stressing the last word, looking over at Sai. Orochimaru is secondary, and as for him, it is kill on sight. So we will depart for the bridge tomorrow morning. As long as we make good time, we should be there in 2 days. That gives us 2 days to check out the area and plan out everything off of that, he finishes. Very good, Naruto, Tsunade replies as he walks back over to his spot. Alright, everyone, go get prepared and get some rest before tomorrow morning. Yes ma'am, everyone says with a salute and turn around. Naruto, can I speak to you for a moment? Sakura asks softly, getting him to turn around. Yeah, he replies as Sai and Yamato walk out the door, closing it behind them. I wanted to say I'm sorry for what I said that time a year ago, Sakura said as tears began to form in her eyes. Sorry you said it, or sorry I heard it? Naruto asked, getting her to look up at him. I should have never said that. I had no idea about the Sakura began as she looked up at him. Say that I don't want your pity, Naruto said as her eyes widened. This won't be as easy as a simple apology, he said, looking at her hard. What you said cut really deep. You know why? She simply shook her head. Because I thought you were different, he said, narrowing his eyes toward her. I am used to the villagers hating me for what was sealed in me. But hey, they didn't know me. All they went off of was what they had heard and what they knew about the fox. But you got to know me, fought beside me, and I would even call you a friend, and I have very few of those. Then I heard you say that, going off of what you have heard instead of what you have seen with your own 2 eyes. When did I ever show any reason for you to be scared of me other than that bridge? Naruto asked, raising an eyebrow. Sakura just couldn't breathe, as she couldn't think of any time he showed himself to be dangerous. That's what I thought, he said as he began to walk for the door. I don't know if I will ever be able to forgive you, he said, getting her to start crying. Upon hearing her tears, he stopped in front of the door before opening it and let out a sigh. But I did promise Kakashi I would give you a chance, he said as he turned around, causing her to look up with a bit of hope. It will take a lot to convince me to, but I will give you a chance. Really? Sakura asked as he sighed again with a nod and reached into his weapons pouch and pulled out a little orange book. You know why I like this book so much? Naruto asked, holding it up. Because you're a pervert? Ina replied. No, we can't say that, especially now that he is willing to give us a chance. Sakura replied to her inner self. No, why? Because this book is a lot like me, Naruto began as Tsunade began to get tick mark above her eye. And no, not in the way you're thinking, he said, pointing over at her. It's because it's misunderstood. Naruto replied, getting both women to get a confused look on their faces, causing him to just sigh. Alright, everyone knows this book has smut in it, correct? Naruto asked. Yes. Sakura replied. But how do you know when you have never read it before? He asked. Well, because... Sakura began but paused, trying to think of an answer. Exactly, you don't know for sure, you have only heard about the bad parts of it. Naruto replied, you have only heard of the dirty parts inside this book, like everyone in the village has heard about the demon that lives in me. So everyone only hears about the dirty parts in it, and assumes it is all dirty, just like everyone hears about the 9 tails in me and assumes I'm evil because of it, he said, getting Sakura to look down in shame. But those who actually take the time to read the book find out it is actually a really good read, with good character development and storyline. You jumped halfway into my book and read till you were scared and shut it, and took what you had heard about me and thought that was all of it, Naruto said, getting her to look up at him with tears in her eyes. Now, as your punishment, you will read this and all the other books in the series, he says, getting a shocked look from both Sakura and Tsunade, and once you have finished them and understand them, I will consider accepting your apology, he said as he tossed her the book. This is your last chance. Yes, I won't mess this up, Sakura said as she held the book. Alright, I am going to kill Jiraiya for this, Tsunade said. And why is that? Naruto asked. Have you even read his books? Well, I've skimmed them, Tsunade replies, trying to play it off. It's not the same and you know it. Naruto said, this is your teammate's books and you haven't even read them. I'm starting to respect him more than you now, because even though he is no good at it, and has no idea what half the stuff is, he has still read every single one of your medical books you've written, he said, getting Tsunade to go wide-eyed. He what? Tsunade asked, shocked. Oh yeah, it was actually kind of entertaining watching him try to understand it on occasion, Naruto said with a smirk of a good memory. So read them. I know he has sent you his handwritten original copies once they were done being copied, he said, getting Tsunade to look down at a drawer. And don't focus on the smut, read deeper, and see why the main character does what he does, you'll be surprised, he said as he walked out the door, leaving the stunned Kunoichi in the room. Naruto walked out of the Hokage building and headed toward his favorite ramen shop. He walked up to the shop and took a seat. Hey old man, what a guy gotta do to get a couple bowls of ramen over here, he called out in cheerful voice. Is that? Came an older male's voice, as a large man walked out from the back. It is you, Naruto, the man said with a smile. Hey, how you doing, old man? Naruto said with a smile. Hey, I am not that old, he said with a smile as he got a better look at him. Hey, what did you do with your hair? It just grew out like that as I got older, Naruto said as he scratched his head. Alright, well, what can I get for you? The old ramen cook asked. Well, let's start off with 4 miso porks. Alright, Naruto said. Alright, the first round is on the house since we haven't seen you in so long, he said as he disappeared to the back of the shop to begin on the order. Never ceases to amaze me how much of this stuff you can wolf down, came a voice from beside him. Well, Tenzo, good to see we will be on the same team again, Naruto said, looking over at the man who he had just been introduced to him as Yamato. Hey, that is Captain Yamato now, Yamato said, emphasizing the captain part. Perhaps, but it will always be Tenzo-senpai to me, Naruto said with a grin, causing Yamato to grin as well. I don't know what it is, but your smile is just too contagious for its own good, Yamato said with chuckle. Yeah, guess so, Naruto said as his meal was brought out to him. So going to be okay working with her again? Cause when we had to tail along on that mission she was sent on 6 months ago, you seemed to have a few choice words about her, Yamato replied. I've learned to keep personal and business separate, Naruto said. One of our requirements as ANBU. That it is, Yamato replied. Well, it is good to have you on my squad again, Naruto replied. Just wish it was the rest of our squad on this mission instead. Yeah, but at least we know how to work well with each other, and even though Sakura might not be ANBU, I've heard she picks up fast, so it should work out, Yamato replied. Yes, she was always the top of the class, never that good in a fight, but smart as hell. She should be alright, Naruto replied. From what I've heard, she can hold her own in a fight, Yamato replied. She has improved in that field, but not in actual combat. She has mostly only seen training in the inside of a hospital. We both know there is a huge difference between battlefield experience and training, Naruto replied. Agreed. Now as for this Sai guy, Yamato said, we will have to keep an eye on him, Naruto replied. It was Danzo's only way to weasel his way to keep an eye on me, but my biggest concern is keeping an eye on him during this mission. Right, Danzo was one of the biggest voices in labeling Sasuke a missing nin, and having a kill-on-sight order placed on his head, Yamato said. Wouldn't surprise me if he has given that order to Sai once we find him, Naruto said. Exactly what I was thinking, Yamato replied as he began to get up. Well, I'll see you tomorrow then, Naruto said. Alright, and remember, stick to the shadows, Yamato said. You as well, Naruto said as he watched Yamato leave. Sakura sat at the barbecue restaurant staring at the small orange book on the table Naruto had given her, when she heard an all too familiar voice. Ah, there you are, forehead, Ino said as she sat down opposite her. Oh, hi, Piggy, Sakura said, not really paying attention and picking up the book, but had it snatched away before she could. Oh, what have we here? Ino teased as she held up the book. Hey, give it back, Ino pig, Sakura yelled as she reached over the table. Oh, getting a little perverted, are we? Ino teased. No, I have to read it or else, Sakura began but stopped. Or else what? Ino asked. Or else Naruto won't forgive me. Sakura replied. And why would he need to forgive you? Ino questioned. He is the one who should be asking forgiveness after the state he put you in yesterday. What? How did? Sakura began. I ran into you and the Hokage last night, and you were beaten up pretty badly as well as crying. Ino cut her off, and Tsunade told me you had gotten into a fight with Naruto, and I hunted him down to make him apologize, and he just brushed me off and said I didn't know the whole story. Because you don't. Sakura said. Then tell me. Ino pushed. It's between me and him. Sakura replied. Oh, don't give me that. I'm your best friend, and when I see you like this I have to help, so tell. Ino said as Sakura remained quiet. Tell me or you won't get this book back. Alright. Sakura admitted. You remember that time about a year and a half ago when I called him a monster, and you slapped me? Yeah. Ino replied. Well, apparently he had come back early and overheard us talking. Sakura explained, getting Ino to go wide-eyed in realization. And he heard you call him that. Ino replied. And because of that, I'm positive that is what drove him into the ANBU and why he is not like he was before. Sakura said, breaking down. It's all my fault, she said as she felt someone hug her. Don't worry, it'll be alright. Ino said as she pulled away from the hug. It's Naruto, I'm sure he will forgive you. Ino said he may have changed on the outside, but I'm sure deep down he is still the same old goofball we remember. Thanks, Ino, Sakura said. Now I'm going to go find him and have a talk with him. Ino said as she got up to leave. Wait, no, Sakura began. Don't worry, I just want to see some stuff on my own. Ino said with a smile. Oh, and have fun with this, it's a good read, she said with a teasing smile as she walked out of the restaurant. Naruto walked down the road toward his apartment when he heard someone call out to him. Naruto, hold it right there. Ino called out as he looked back and saw the blonde running toward him. What is it, Ino? Naruto replied as she caught up with him. I wanted to talk. Ino replied. Really? I thought you just wanted to call out my name then ignore me. Naruto replied sarcastically. Oh, just the regular joker, aren't you? Ino berated with her hands on her hips. I don't have time for this, I have a mission to prep for. Naruto said as he began to walk away. Hey, I'm talking to you. Ino shouted as she chased after him. I heard what happened from Sakura, she said as she caught up and went quiet. Oh, did you now? Naruto replied. And what did she say? She said you heard our conversation that day, she called you a monster. Ino replied. And if I recall, you were right there with her when she said it. Naruto replied. Yeah, and I slapped her for it. Ino said, getting a surprised look from Naruto. Well, that is a surprising. Naruto replied. And why is that? Ino replied. I just don't get that kind of reaction from people all that often when someone calls me a monster. Naruto replied. Why wouldn't I? We are friends and I don't like it when people call my friends names. Ino replied. I would say we're more of acquaintances, comrades in arms, than friends. You and pretty much everyone else in our class ignored or picked on me. Naruto replied, getting Ino to make an angry face. How could you say we aren't friends? Ino yelled at him. Because honestly, when have we ever spent time together? Naruto asked. Well, there was that one time when I had to pretend to be a princess who had gotten fat. Ino replied. Missions don't count. Naruto replied. What, why not? Ino asked. Because friends hang out off of work as well. Tell me one time we hung out when it didn't involve a mission. Naruto replied. Well, there was. Ino began but stopped. Exactly, now this is my place, and I gotta get my stuff ready for tomorrow's mission. Naruto replied as he stopped in front of a walled-off apartment building. Wait, I thought you lived over on the other side of town. Ino asked. I moved once I became an ANBU. Naruto said, and you won't be able to follow past the gate. And why is that? Ino asked. Because like that bar you need a special seal to get in. He replied, patting his arm. Ah, so this is. Ino began. Private community. Naruto replied with a smirk as he walked in. But fine, if you say we aren't friends because we have never hung out when it didn't involve a mission, let's hang out when you get back from this mission. Ino replied. You are persistent, aren't you? Naruto sighed. You have no idea. Ino replied. Fine, we'll grab a bite to eat when I get back, should be back in about a week or so. Naruto said as he disappeared into the building. The next day Naruto stood outside the village gates with Sai, Yamato, and Sakura. Alright, everyone is here, so let us be off. Yamato replied as they began to walk down the road. As they were walking, Yamato noticed Sakura was reading a book. So Sakura, what is that you're reading there? Yamato said, getting the pinkette to look up and then blush a bit at the question as she turned it to show it was the first of the Aika series. This gave Yamato a slum look as he wondered over to Naruto. The hell you doing giving her that book? Yamato asked. How do you know it was me? Naruto asked. I can see your name on it. Yamato replied as Naruto saw his own name in the corner of the book. Oh, so that is where my copy went, Naruto replied innocently. Oh, don't give me that. You received that from Jiraiya and never let anyone else read it while we were on missions, not even Kakashi. Yamato replied, are you trying to corrupt your own teammate? He said, giving him the creepy scary face. Okay, one, that doesn't work on me anymore, and two, if I remember you have read those books as well. Naruto said. That was only because Kakashi-senpai forced me to. Yamato countered. So you're saying you don't want to borrow Aika tactics from Kakashi? Naruto replied. What, I didn't think that came out for another 6 months. Yamato replied. Well, the author is my master, and that comes with a few perks. Like an ultra-advanced copy, Naruto replied, but if you don't want it I'll tell Kakashi to give it back to me when he is done. Getting a conflicted look on Yamato's face. You're a sadistic bastard, you know that, right? Yamato replied, so I've been told. Naruto said with a smile. After 2 days of travel they finally made it to the Tenchi Bridge. Alright, let's set up camp and we will do recon of the bridge in the morning. Yamato said as they came to a small clearing in the woods. Alright. Sakura replied as she pulled off her pack and started to pull out her sleeping bag. Just then she looked up and saw Yamato making hand signs and wood shot out from the ground and began to form a small cabin. Oh wow! Sakura said with excitement. That is amazing, Captain. Yeah, I know. Yamato replied with pride sticking out his chest. They spent the next few days getting prepared for their upcoming meet with Sasori's spy. Alright, we all have the plan? Yamato asked. Yes, you go in with your Wujutsu pretending to be Sasori and get what intel you can and then we follow him back and hit the base. Sakura said. Correct, everyone get to positions. Yamato said as he created his disguise and everyone jumped to their positions within the tree line. Once everyone was in position he moved out to the bridge. Shortly after he did, a cloaked figure walked over to him from the other side of the bridge. The squad looked at the mole and got a look at his face, and saw a young man with white hair and glasses. Kabuto! Naruto thought as he got a better look at him. Do you have the information? Yamato asked. Yes, but there is a small change in plans. Kabuto said as he swung his hand coved in chakra down on Yamato's fake puppet, shattering it as Yamato jumped out of it, and away from Kabuto. I wasn't expecting you. Kabuto said as Orochimaru slithered up next to him. Ah, good to see you again. Orochimaru said with a sly smirk. Can't say the same, Snake. Yamato said. You may as well tell those three to come out. Orochimaru said as Yamato signaled for the rest of the team to come out, and they jumped behind him. Captain Yamato, are you alright? Sakura asked. Oh, going by Yamato now? Orochimaru chuckled, getting a confused look from Sakura. And you brought the fox brat with you as well. I can only assume you are here for Sasuke-kun. Give him back to us. Sakura called out. And who says he wants to go back with you? Orochimaru asked, getting the pinkette to recoil. Whether he wants to or not, I drag him back. Naruto called out. You failed the last time, what makes you think you'll do any better this time? Orochimaru asked with a chuckle. I held back last time because I didn't want to kill him, and it gave him the opening he needed. Naruto replied as his eyes turned red and slit. But first I'll deal with you. Oh really, that would be something to see. Orochimaru laughed as an orange aura began to envelope Naruto. You sure about this? Yamato asked Naruto. Only way to match his strength, I won't take it too far. Naruto replied as Sakura looked at them with confusion, but stand by in case I can hold it. Got it. Yamato replied as Naruto launched himself at the pale man in the blink of an eye that even Orochimaru couldn't keep up with, and was launched into the forest behind him. Naruto then swung for Kabuto, but he was already jumping away and avoided the hit. Sakura stood in shock. What is going on? She asked herself. This feeling, this presence, I've felt it before. She told herself, trying to think, that's it at the bridge during the Land of Waves mission. This is the same feeling I had back then. A feeling of absolute fear and helplessness, she said as her legs began to shake, as he looked back at her. I understand why you may see me as a monster when I use this. Naruto said, getting her to look up at him in shock, but I will never do anything to hurt you. So please don't fear me. He said to her as he turned away, and Orochimaru walked out of the forest with his face torn apart, and another one behind it. Well, looks like you have come far as a Jinchuriki, Orochimaru said as he put a hand to his face, putting it back together. You've only seen the surface. Naruto said as a single tail began to form out of the chakra surrounding him, while his teeth and nails grew. Then let's see what you've got, Orochimaru said as Naruto launched toward him, but the snake was expecting it this time and jumped away, followed closely by Naruto. Sakura, saw you handle this guy, I'll go back up, Naruto. Yamato ordered as he jumped toward where Naruto and Orochimaru were battling. Sakura turned to look at Kabuto, who had already vanished. Sai, where? She called out and saw he was gone as well. Damn, where did they go? She asked herself just before she heard a blood-curdling roar. No, Naruto needs us more than going after them. She told herself as she ran to the edge of the bridge and looked down to her horror and saw a four-tailed fox with a human face, standing on the one side of the ravine and Orochimaru on the other. The fox had raised its head and a massive black sphere was shrinking into its mouth, and was swallowed by it as three massive demonic metal doors appeared in a poof of smoke. Once the fox turned its head toward them and a beam of red chakra shot straight for them. The moment the beam touched the first door, it erupted into an explosion that threw Sakura away from the bridge, making her crash on the side she had come from. Once the dust had settled, the three doors were completely gone, and Orochimaru lay in the ground headfirst like a post. Once again the fox let out a roar, but just then a sword burst from the ground, impacting him in the stomach and launching him into the top of the cliff next to Sakura. She followed the very long blade to find it inside the mouth of Orochimaru, whose neck had also elongated and twisted. Sakura just stood there frozen as she gazed upon what her teammate had turned into. He is a monster, she said to herself. Then she shook her head. No, he is still Naruto. Deep down I know it. Even if his outside is like this, he is still the nice, lovable idiot I know. I will bring that side of him back out no matter what. she said to herself, but didn't realize the blade that had stabbed Naruto hadn't pierced him but was just pushing into his skin. With a quick push, the blade that was in gut was now coming straight for her. She saw the blade and felt something pick her up and out of the way of it as it passed under her. She looked over to see Yamato standing at her side with his arm around her. Are you alright? Yamato asked. Yeah, she began, but merely just looked back at Naruto. Yeah, I know what you mean, it can be overwhelming the first time you see it, Yamato said as he looked over at him. But there is nothing he wouldn't do to complete a mission, especially this one. What do you mean? Sakura asked in shock. Let's just say I have worked with Naruto before, and he has always been willing to give it all just to complete the mission. However, this mission of getting the Uchiha back has always been his biggest driving force. I don't know too much of the background behind it, but there is something there that is making him willing to do anything to complete this mission, even give up his humanity to finish it, Yamato replied. This just caused Sakura to stare at him in complete shock. You don't think he is doing this just for us? For that promise he made to us 3 years ago? Inner asked as Sakura thought about. He was always going on about how he always comes through on his promises. He failed once and he sees this as his only opportunity to make it right, Sakura said to herself, but if he keeps up like this I will lose him as well. I don't want it if it means I have to give one up for the other, she said to herself as tears began to flow down her cheeks. Just then she dashed toward him yelling, Please Naruto, stop, don't do this. I know you want to keep your promise to me, but I don't want it if it means I lose you as well. That was when Naruto turned his head to look at her, and his tail came up and swiped at her. Shit, Sakura, get back here, don't get too close, Yamato yelled as he went through some hand signs and would burst from the ground and wrapped around Naruto's tail, but it was too late. His tail had already made contact with Sakura and tossed her to the side. Sakura slowly got up holding her arm as she watched the wood wrap around him, pinning him to the ground, and Yamato jumped at him, pressing his hand to Naruto's chest. Yamato then jumped away as 10 pillars came up from the ground and wrapped around the demonic fox. As Naruto was pinned to the ground, the demonic chakra began to recede and he began to return to his human form. Once he was back to his normal human form, the pillars retracted back into the ground. Sakura forced herself to stand and began to walk over to him and dropped to her knees next to him. She looked over him and saw most of his skin had been burned off and it was slowly healing itself. She put her hand on his chest and began to heal him, and she watched as his skin quickly healed itself. After he was completely healed, he opened his eyes. Once his eyes were open, he sat up looking at the destruction, then over to Sakura, and he looked down to her arm that was bleeding. I'm sorry, he said, getting her to look at him in a bit of shock. For what? She asked. For that, he said, pointing at her arm. Oh, this wasn't you, it was Orochimaru that did this, she said, trying to play it off. Don't lie to me, I know those chakra burns anywhere, and he was too preoccupied dealing with me then to even give you a second thought, Naruto said as she put her hand to it and began to heal it as her head dropped a bit. I just didn't want you to blame yourself for something you had no control of, Sakura said, but I let go of the control. I shouldn't have let that happen in the first place, he said as he stood up and walked over to Yamato. Where is Sai? He said, looking around as he noticed the pale boy was not there. I don't know, I lost track of him once the fighting started, Sakura said as she finished healing herself and stood up. Shit, he must have gone after Sasuke without us. Naruto sighed as he turned toward the bridge. You coming? Naruto asked, looking over his shoulder at her as she smiled and jumped up next to him and they jumped to the far side of the canyon. After a little while of searching, they finally came across the entrance of the underground base. They quickly made their way inside and began their search. Shortly after they began, they heard an explosion and began to run toward it. Sakura was in the lead when she saw a light and burst through it to find herself in the middle of a crater. She looked around and saw Sai buried under some rubble. She then looked up and saw Sasuke standing at the top edge of the crater with a sword in the back of his purple sash. I should have known it was you guys that came after me, Sasuke sighed as he looked at his old team. So this is my replacement, he said, glancing over at Sai, who was still buried. Sasuke, please come home with us, Sakura said. Why should I? I have more power now than I could have possibly have hoped for if I had stayed with the village, Sasuke replied, uninterested. Because I love you, she said hesitantly. Ah ha ha ha, Sasuke laughed. Silly girl, he said as he vanished and appeared mere inches from her. You don't even know what love is, he said with a smirk as she saw the flash of his sword and it coming towards her neck. She shut her eyes and felt a slight bit of pain and something warm splash across her face. She gave it a moment but didn't feel anything else, so she opened her eyes and saw his blade was pressed against her neck, cutting only a little bit into her neck as a small trail of blood slid down her neck. She then saw his hand was covered in blood and a chain piercing his wrist. She followed the chain and saw Naruto holding on to the other end of it. You know it's not very polite to kill a teammate, Naruto said as he pulled on the chain, forcing his blade away from her neck. Are the dobe here to save his little girlfriend? Sasuke said with a smirk, looking at him with his Sharingan. Ha, girlfriend? Naruto chuckled. Please, that ship has sailed, and it would never work anyway. Sakura heard this from him, and for some reason pain shot through her chest, but she didn't know why. Oh, so you've finally realized how annoying she is? Sasuke replied. You could say that, Naruto replied, getting the pain in her chest to hurt even more. Then why not dispose of her already? Sasuke asked. Because she is my teammate, Naruto replied, getting Sakura to look up at him. No matter how badly they hurt you, you still have their backs when the time comes. You need to let them see the errors of their ways and atone for them. He said as a look of hope sparked in Sakura's eyes, and that is what I'm going to do to you. Beat your ass to a pulp, drag you back to the leaf, and show you the errors of your ways. Oh, such the noble hero. Sasuke said with spite, I regret nothing and have nothing to atone for. He said as he looked Naruto right in the eye and entered his mind. Naruto's mindscape. Sasuke found himself in what seemed to be a sewer system that was slightly flooded and lined with pipes. He began to walk through them as if guided by some unseen force. Soon he came to an opening and a giant cage with a seal on the lock and Naruto leaning on the center of it. So you've come to find the secret that the village elders have wanted to bury. Naruto said as Sasuke looked around. So what is this place? Sasuke asked. This? Naruto asked, cocking eyebrow. This is the burden I've carried my whole life. He said as the silhouette of a massive creature faded into view. What have we here? The shadowy figure said as his face came up the bars to reveal the face of a giant fox. Ah, so you carry the nine-tailed fox. Sasuke stated, more than asked. This is where you get all that power from. More like a curse than anything else, Naruto replied. Shut it, you ungrateful kid. If it wasn't for me, you would have died years ago. The fox said, taking your strength from this fox you have no true power. Sasuke smirked. Could say the same about you and that curse mark of yours. Naruto shot back, wiping the smirk from Sasuke's face. Now get out of my head. You don't have the strength to push me out. Sasuke said with a smirk. I will stay here as long as I please and learn all your secrets to defeat you. No, you have found the one secret I was willed to share. Naruto said, and I have been keeping the most powerful tailed beast at bay since I was born. You are nothing compared to him. He said as everything faded away. Outside mindscape. Sasuke fell to a knee, holding the side of his face covering an eye. How did you do that? Sasuke asked. I already told you. Naruto replied, you are nothing compared to him. I will end you here. And Sasuke began but was cut off by another voice. Kukukuku. Orochimaru snickered. Come Sasuke-kun, we will deal with these little whelps at another time. At this Sasuke jumped away, landing next to his master. Very well. Sasuke said as they faded away. Till next time, Doge. Till next time, team. Naruto replied. And Chapter 4. Chapter 5. Lunch dates. It was mid-afternoon when Naruto and his team walked into the main gates of the Leaf Village. Alright, we should report in first. Naruto said once they made it through the gates. Agreed. Yamato said as they made their way to the Hokage's office. The team stood in front of the Hokage's desk giving their report on the events that took place during their mission. So you made contact but were unable to retrieve him. Tsunade summed up. That is correct, it was a setup. Naruto said it seems Orochimaru found out about Kabuto being a mole and the trap was for him. Seems we just got caught in the middle. Yamato added. Agreed, nothing you could have done if it was compromised before you even got the mission. Tsunade said. Yes ma'am. Naruto replied in a tense tone. I know you don't like to fail missions, but we did learn he is still alive and hasn't been used as Orochimaru's new vessel. Tsunade replied, this is a long-term mission so it will take a while and won't be finished in a single mission. All the same ma'am, I would like to get back on it and start training. Naruto replied, very well, take the rest of the day off, I'll find more for you guys later. Tsunade said, yes ma'am. The team responded once they finished. Sai, Yamato, and Naruto walked out of the office while Sakura remained behind. You miss him, don't you? Sakura asked, looking at her master, who gave her a sullen look. It is still him, he has just changed so much in so little time. Tsunade sighed. I know. Sakura agreed, but the old him has to be in there still, somewhere, and you're probably the only one who can bring it back out. Tsunade said, getting Sakura to look at in confusion. I don't follow. Sakura said, Ah. Tsunade sighed. Jiraiya told me while they were on their training trip he wouldn't shut up about you. He loved you. This got Sakura to look up at her in shock, then lower her head in shame. And I said those horrible things about him. Sakura said, and now he hates me and I don't blame him. Hey, he gave you a chance. Tsunade said, getting Sakura to reach into her pouch and pull out the little book she had been given to read. Now I'm not saying it's going to be easy and may take some time, but you have to try and get his forgiveness. But I don't know if he will ever fully forgive me. Sakura said, at least try. If you don't try you will regret it when you get too old to act on love. Tsunade said with a sullen look, but I don't like him that way. Sakura said defensively, I saw the way you were looking at him during the debrief. It may not be much, it is something. Tsunade said, no, I like Sasuke. Sakura said in a hesitant voice, oh, don't give me that. I saw that look on your face when they told me what Sasuke almost did to you. Tsunade said, getting Sakura to look up at her. That hurt and loss of hope in someone. I've seen it before. This got Sakura to look at her. It is the same look I had on my face when I found out about Orochimaru. I may not have felt the way you do for Sasuke, but I saw him as a brother. I just don't know how to feel anymore. Sakura said, I thought I loved him, but he tried kill me on this mission, and it didn't even faze him. That is just how some people are. They can only focus on one thing and nothing else matters. Tsunade said, that is why you have to find someone who cares and will always be there for you even when it is inconvenient for them. She said as a distant sad look went across her face. We aren't talking about the same person anymore, are we? Sakura asked. In some ways we are. Tsunade said as a grin graced her face. Well, before we got here we talked about visiting Kakashi-sensei. So I should probably get going. Sakura said. Right, run along then. Tsunade said. Right. Sakura said as she walked to the door, then turned back toward her master. You know it's never too late for anything, you taught me that. She said as she turned and left. Right, never too late. Tsunade repeated softly, then looked down and opened a drawer and pulled out a little orange book and opened it to the first page and began to read. Naruto was just walking up to the hospital when he heard someone running up behind him. In the blink of an eye he swung around and behind the person that was coming up behind him and had a knife to her throat. Once he got a better look he saw the back of a pink-haired head. Once he realized who it was he let go of her, and she spun around. Sorry reflex, Naruto said, just don't come up behind me like that, alright? He said as he walked into the hospital. Who the hell just happened? Iner said in confusion. Hey, wait a minute. Sakura said as she caught back up with him. The hell was that? She berated. I said I was sorry. Naruto said as he walked into the elevator. No, you just had a knife to my throat, and just say sorry? Sakura asked. You would rather I not apologize? Naruto asked as the doors to the elevator shut. No, that's not what I mean. Sakura replied. I want to know why you did it. Like I said, it was reflex. Naruto said. You seem to have improved a lot since you went into the She began but was cut off. Not supposed to go advertising that organization. Naruto said. Since you have gotten back then. Sakura said. Yes, I have. Naruto replied flatly, but still not good enough, he added just under his breath. Well, maybe you can tell me about it sometime. She said quietly. Doubt it. Most of the stuff I did is classified. Naruto said as they walked up to Kakashi's door. I wasn't talking about missions. Sakura said. I just want to know how you've been. She began but was cut off as Naruto put up his hand to silence her, and put his ear to the door, and she followed suit and heard a female voice coming from the room. Now that I have you at like this, I will finish what I started. The voice said in a sultry tone. Naruto pulled out a kunai and put his free hand on the handle and slowly counted down from 3 on his hand, and the pair burst into the room ready for a fight, but found Enko with only her mesh top and a short skirt straddling a shirtless Kakashi whose hands were tied to the head of the bed, and their faces were nearly touching as they looked over at the intruders. Oh dear God, I'm blind! Naruto yelled as he covered his eyes and swung around wildly. Oh God! We are so sorry. Sakura added as she covered her eyes and turned around with a blush. Oh, stop being all uptight, we are both consenting adults. Enko said as she sat up and they saw the green itchy book in her hand. And I was just reading a book to him, she said as she swung off of him and put her trench coat on and set the book down on the nightstand. And we were just have a little fun with it, she added with a sultry smile as she strutted toward the door, then turned back toward Kakashi. Kane, find me when you're out of here and we can finish the book, she said with a wink and walked out of the hospital room. Naruto and Sakura watched her leave and then turned to Kakashi, with a confused look on Sakura's face and a disgusted one on Naruto's. So how is your day going? Kakashi asked, trying to avoid the fact he was still tied to the bed. Oh no, you're not getting out of this one. Naruto shot at him. The hell was that we just walking on? What? You gave me a book I couldn't read cause I couldn't move, and she came over to see how I was, saw the book and asked to read it. I told her only if she reads it to me, Kakashi explained as if it wasn't a big deal. Yeah, but you should have been able to move enough to read it 2 days ago. Naruto said. Why is she still reading it to you? Well, she is a good storyteller, Kakashi said with a nice smile. I can't even look at you right now, Naruto said as he walked out of the room. I'll just leave you to it then, Sakura said as she went to follow Naruto. Hey, can you Kakashi asked, gesturing toward the restraints with his head. I'll send a nurse in to assist you, Sakura said with a fake smile, or you could get out of them yourself since you are a jonin. She added. I could, but she used a special jutsu on it, and I can't undo it myself, he said with another eye smile. I'll send in a nurse to see to you, Sakura said as she walked out and closed the door. That was life-scaring, Naruto said with a shiver. Well, let's not put anyone else in that situation, Sakura said as she put the do not disturb sign on the handle, and began to walk away, shortly followed by Naruto. And they call me a sadistic bastard, Naruto said with a chuckle as they got onto the elevator. I just don't want any of my fellow coworkers to walk in on that, she said. Well, can't argue with you there, Naruto said as they reached the exit of the hospital. So, Sakura began. Do you want to grab some dinner? She asked. Sorry, I'm just gonna head home and get some sleep. Needed after that mission, Naruto said as he began to walk away. Oh, alright, I'll see you later then, Sakura said as she watched him walk away. Damn, what am I doing? Naruto berated himself as he walked away from his childhood crush. The next morning Naruto got up early before the sun was up and went off to one of the ANBU training fields. Naruto was working on his sword techniques when 2 people in ANBU walked up on his training session. Rabbit Weasel, Naruto said as he stopped his sword movements, and turned around to see Shugo, and the blonde Yamanaka from the bar stood in front of him. Oh come on, we're off duty, Fox, and you were taken off the ANBU rooster, the Yamanaka said. Yeah, Keats, Naruto replied. So we were hoping to get some early morning training in, and come to find you in our training area, Keats replied with a smirk. Well, guess there is only one thing to do here, Naruto said, getting into a fighting stance. Yeah, I guess there is, Keith said, drawing his own sword while Shugo just shook his head. The pair spared with their swords till noon while Shugo was sitting at the side in a meditative state. Seems you're beginning to get sluggish, Naruto said with a huff. Getting tired? Look who's talking, I can go all day, Keith said with a smirk. Oh, will you two grow up already? It's already noon, we need to get some lunch, Shugo said. Alright, fine, Keith replied as Naruto and him sheathed their swords. After heading back to their apartments to clean up and change into street clothes, the trio walked down the streets of the village heading toward the restaurant district, and walked into the barbecue restaurant. They spent the next hour eating and joking with each other. That was when they heard a female voice coming from the end of the booth they were in. They looked up to see Ino standing at the edge of the booth. So you got back and didn't tell me? Ino asked. Oh, looks like you're in trouble with your girlfriend? Keats teased, getting Naruto to roll his eyes and Ino to blush. Get your mind out of the gutter, Keats, Naruto said. There is no way we are going to be in-laws. At this, Ino got a better look at the fellow blonde. Oh, it's you from that night at the bar, Ino said with realization, getting him to throw up his hands and roll his eyes. Geez, am I that minor of a character you don't even remember my name? Keats asked. Sorry, Ino replied as he just waved her off. I thought we were going to get lunch when you got back. Ino shot back. Well, we will leave you two to work this out, Keats teased as he began to push Shugo out of the booth. But I want to see how this plays out, Shugo complained. No, let the two lovebirds have their talk, Keats said, still in a teasing tone, as he pushed the Hyuga out of the booth and out of the restaurant, while Ino sat down in the booth across from him. Those assholes left me with the bill, Naruto said as he looked off to where the two had seemed to have vanished into thin air. Bastards, he said under his breath. Well, since we're here, might as well have that lunch, Ino said. But I just ate, Naruto replied, and stuck with the bill. Well, guess that means your tab is still open then, Ino replied with a smile. Fine, whatever, Naruto sighed in defeat as he ordered another round of barbecue. So what are you doing here? Naruto asked. This doesn't seem to be the type of place you would frequent. Well, I was supposed to meet my team here, but they cancelled on me, Ino explained. Not like Choji to miss a restaurant visit, Naruto replied, getting Ino to chuckle. Yeah, but he had a family thing to do, so he couldn't make it. And since we all couldn't be there, Asuma-sensei cancelled, but that was just an excuse to visit a certain someone, Ino said in a teasing voice. Kurenai? Naruto stated, more than asked. Yeah, how did you know? Ino asked. They started dating while you were gone. Well, I have been back for a year and a half, Naruto replied in a knowing tone. Right, doing that, Ino said, pausing to not say the name. Yeah, and he helped me out with my elemental training, Naruto replied, leaning back in his booth. Wait, Asuma-sensei knew you were back? Ino asked, shocked. Yeah, one of the few outside of the ANBU that did, Naruto replied. Oh, what now? We are just blatantly saying it now, Ino asked. Might as well, you are the gossip queen and I'm no longer active, Naruto replied. You're saying I can't keep a secret? Ino shot back. Pretty much, Naruto replied teasingly, knowing he had her. Oh, I have kept plenty of secrets, Ino shot back. Oh, really? Like what? Naruto replied in an unbelievingly tone. Oh yeah, like that time Sakura. Ino began, then shut up quickly, getting Naruto to raise an eyebrow. Oh, I see what you're doing, and it's not going to work. It's simple interrogation techniques that I would think a Yamanaka could see through easily, Naruto replied, getting her to puff up in the face in annoyance. Meanwhile, outside the window, a certain pink head was walking by, lost in her thoughts. I don't know what is going on with me, thought to herself. We have the hots for our teammate, that's what's up, her inner self replied. No, we don't like him, Sakura said as she saw the red-haired blonde-tipped ninja of her confusion, and what made her freeze was who he was with. She saw her best friend sitting opposite of him as a platter of meat was set down in front of them. She quickly got out of sight of the window before she was seen. What is this feeling in my chest? She said as she went down an alley and leaned against the wall. Were they on a date? Inner asked in shock. Oh, I'll kill her for this. Not once but twice she has gotten between us and our man. No, he isn't. We don't like him, Sakura argued. Then who? The man who almost killed us, or the man who has saved us more times than we can count, and has never given up on us? Inner berated in a pissed-off voice. But he has, after what we said about him, she stuttered as tears began to form. Then we can't give up on him, Inner said. But he is with Ino, Sakura said. Maybe it wasn't what we thought. Maybe it wasn't a date, Inner said. Back at the restaurant, Naruto and Ino ate their lunch and conversed till they heard a new voice. Oh, what do we have here, a date? Came a gruff male voice as the pair looked up to see a feral-looking man flanked by another in a hooded trench coat, while a blackish blue-haired, blushing girl on the other. Kiba, how you doing? Naruto said with smirk as he raised his hands and they grabbed each other's hands, and Kiba slipped into the seat next to Ino, and Hinata quickly took the seat next to Naruto while Shino grabbed a chair and sat down at the end of table. So what are you guys up? Naruto began but stopped as he looked over at Shino and sniffed. Akamaru, why are you hinged at Shino? Shhhhhh. Kiba shushed. Hey, they don't allow animals here. So we use a simple henge to allow him to get into restaurants. Since Shino is out with his dad on a family matter, we are just using it while he is gone. Well, they let you in, so they can't be completely against allowing animals in here, Naruto shoots back. Oh haha. Kiba laughed smugly. Just one question, did you use my image while I was gone to do this? Naruto asked. Once, but they shoved us out something about demons, Kiba replied, superstitious bastards. Yes, superstitious bastards. Naruto chuckled, but now I don't want to be impersonating an ANBU. Kiba said with a smirk, getting Naruto to get serious look on his face. How do you know that? Naruto asked sternly, then turned toward Ino. Well, hold up, I found out a couple months ago. Kiba shot out defensively, holding up his hands. What do you mean? Naruto asked, looking back at him. About 6 months ago, that mission we had to track down that renegade mercenary group. Kiba said we found them and were told to back off when we found out they were being backed by a small-time daimyo, and an ANBU team took over. When we made contact with your team, I got a whiff of you and knew it was you. How? Naruto asked. You smell like a fox, only one person I know of that smells like that. Kiba explained. Damned, I was still learning how to cover my scent back then. Naruto sighed. Sorry if I let any cats out of the bag. Kiba said, looking at Hinata and Ino. No, they have known about it for about a week. Naruto sighed. Just then he caught flash of light at the top of a building. Well, sorry, I have to get going. Naruto said as he pulled out some money and put it on the table, and jumped up over Hinata and landed in the alleyway of the restaurant. Well, I'll catch you guys later, he said as he walked out of the restaurant. Once outside the restaurant, Naruto jumped up to the building. He had spotted the glimpse of light. He landed behind a white-haired man with a nosebleed, giggling, holding a telescope. You are still doing this? Naruto asked. It's research, Jiraiya said in a pervish tone. Even after I gave you that technique, you still do this? Naruto sighed. Hey, one of the conditions of that agreement where I wouldn't use it in the leaf. Jiraiya said, if Tsunade found out you taught that to me, she would kill me. She would kill the both of us. Naruto said, but I didn't think you would listen to me about that condition. He shrugged. I don't have a death wish. Jiraiya replied. Whatever. Naruto sighed. Speaking of the crazy blonde, we need to go speak to her. Oh, right now? Jiraiya whined. The girls from the maid bar are just getting here. Now, you old perv, or I'll tell her you taught me that invisibility jutsu and brought me on your little escapades. Naruto said. I may have taught you that technique but never brought you on any of my research missions. If you used it to do that, it's on you, not my fault. Jiraiya said defensively. But who will she believe? Me or you? Naruto replied as Jiraiya frowned and got up and followed him to the Hokage's office. The pair made it to Tsunade's office window and slipped in, and were nearly hit with an empty bottle of sake. Damned you two, how many times do I have to tell you not to come in through the window? Swanda yelled. And when do you think he will ever listen? Naruto said. I expect that from him, but you should know better. Tsunade said, looking at Naruto. He is a bad influence. Naruto replied, but seems you're one as well. He added, gesturing toward the little orange book on the edge of her desk, getting the old perv to get a wide grin and Tsunade to blush as she shoved the book into a drawer. Well, I didn't bring this guy here to show him something he will hold over your head. Most likely for a while. Naruto explained. Then why did you bring me here? Jiraiya asked. To tell you I need your help in learning a new jutsu. Naruto said. Which one? Jiraiya asked. My father's, the Flying Thunder God, Naruto said, getting a shocked look from the Sannin. End Chapter 5. Chapter 6, Inheritance. Jiraiya and Tsunade stared at him in disbelief. How do you know about your father? Tsunade asked. Once I finished my ANBU training and became a full member, Kakashi-sensei told me everything. Naruto said. Flashback. It was the middle of the night as Naruto stood in front of Kakashi out at Team 7's training area. So I finally made it. Naruto sighed with a smile. Yes, and let me be the first to congratulate and welcome you into the ANBU. Kakashi said, we are the elite of the village, the shadows that protect it from those that wish to do harm to it. This is not a job for those who seek glory. We are the unknown, fighting for those who are ignorant to who we truly are. Yes, Kakashi-sensei, I understand. Naruto replied. Good, for this is your last chance to back out. From here on you will be ordered to take on far more dangerous missions and do things you may have never thought yourself capable of, but must, with no explanation, just a simple order. Kakashi said. I understand. Naruto replied. Good. Kakashi said as he walked to Naruto's right side and went through some hand signs and slapped his hand onto his shoulder, and Naruto flinched a bit as he felt a burning sensation on his arm and looked down once Kakashi removed his hand to see the ANBU seal tattoo in its place. With this you are recognized as a member of ANBU. Then he pulled out an ANBU mask. I personally selected this mask for you, he said as he showed the fox mask to Naruto, who narrowed his eyes at it. Why would you choose that one for me? Naruto asked with agitation. A few reasons. 1. The fox is a clever trickster like you as a child, outwitting even some ANBU with your pranks. 2. Because whether you like it or not, the fox is a part of you and you must accept that. And the final reason is because the fourth sealed it within you for a reason, Kakashi explained. Oh really, what reason would that be? Some random kid he found in the wreckage? Naruto sneered. No. Kakashi said with venom that Naruto had never heard from his sensei before. You know, the fourth was my sensei. He said, more than asked, getting Naruto to nod his head in confirmation. I was one of the few that knew his secret, but was told to keep quiet about it by the third and the council. He continued, getting Naruto to listen more intently. But now that you are a jonin and an ANB, you deserve to know the truth. The truth is the fourth didn't take some random baby to seal the beast, and he took his newborn son. Kakashi said, getting Naruto's eyes to widen in shock. Why? Naruto asked, why would he place this burden on his own son? he asked with anger. How could he ask someone else to give up their child when he wasn't willing to do it himself? Kakashi shot back at him, getting him to recoil and look down at the obvious. He also believed in you, Kakashi said, getting Naruto to look up at him. Just like I do, he believed you could handle this burden because you were his son. He also wanted you to be looked at as a hero for holding the beast back. But fear makes people blind to the truth, Kakashi said as Naruto reached up and took the fox mask from him. Yes, and I don't blame them for being afraid. Naruto sighed. They only knew of what I held. I may never forgive them for what they did to me as a child out of that fear, but I won't hold it against them and won't look for retribution, Naruto said as he traced his finger around his new mask. But I won't take their shit laying down anymore. And I don't expect you to. Just remember you can't seriously harm them, Kakashi said sternly. Only defend myself, Naruto replied. Good, now any questions? Kakashi asked. Yes, Naruto replied in a soft tone, getting Kakashi an eyebrow. If you knew my parents that well, can you tell me about them? Naruto asked, getting Kakashi to give a nice smile and nod his head. Of course, Kakashi said happily as they began to walk out of the training area. And flashback. He then told me everything about my parents, and how the third had forbid anyone about talking about my heritage due to the fear of the retaliation of the stone's hatred of my father. Naruto said. I wanted to tell you, but every time I saw you I could only see Minato, and I didn't want you to hate him for what he put you through, Jiraiya explained. Then make up for it by teaching me his techniques, Naruto said. Agreed, I should have told you everything while we were on the road, Jiraiya said. So meet me at training area 13 tomorrow at 9. See you then, Ero-sanin, Naruto said as he turned and walked out of the office. I'll have to speak with Kakashi, Tsunade said. Leave him be, Jiraiya said. It was too much to tell him to keep it from Naruto, and Kakashi was in the right. Naruto is not a little kid anymore, he is a jonin, and one of our top ANBU. He can handle the truth. Very well, I'll overlook it, Tsunade sighed. Well, guess I'll have to dig up some things to help him with his training, Jiraiya said as he walked back to the window and stepped out of it. And use the damn door, Tsunade yelled after him as she sat back in her chair and reached for her drawer and pulled out a little orange book and began to read it. Oh, and I expect a review on my book, Jiraiya said, popping his head into the front door, getting Tsunade to fumble the book and a blush to go across her face as Jiraiya smiled and pulled his head out of the door. At least he is using the front door, Tsunade sighed as she began to read the book again. Naruto leaned against the tree in training area 13 when his white-haired perverted master walked up. Good morning, Gaki, you ready? Jiraiya asked. Always, Ero-sanin, Naruto shot back. Well, first off, I can't perform the Flying Thunder God, Jiraiya explained. Minato was the only one who was able to do it correctly. However, I did help him develop the seals he used for the jutsu, and I have his notes while developing his jutsus, he said, holding up a small journal. Only thing is I can't open it. He put a blood seal on it, so it may or may not have his notes on the Flying Thunder God, he explained as he tossed the journal over to Naruto, who caught it and held it in front of himself for a moment. Well, let's see if you can open it. You must place some blood onto the seal to release it, Jiraiya said. I know how a blood seal works. It was one of the first things about seals you taught me, Naruto said as he bit his thumb and drew a little blood and wiped it across the seal on the cover. Once he had wiped his blood across the cover, the book unsealed itself. May I see? Jiraiya asked, holding out his hand as Naruto handed him the book, and he flipped through it till he stopped. Alright, let's work on making the seal, Jiraiya said as he tossed Naruto some seal paper and some ink. He then walked over to him and took a seat across from Naruto as he did the same. They placed the paper in front of themselves with the ink to the side. Alright, Minato told me that it was a blood seal, so you will have to add some of your blood to the ink for it to work properly, Jiraiya said as Naruto drew out a kunai and cut his hand and let the blood drip into the ink well. Here, Jiraiya said, turning Minato's open journal around, showing him the seal. Looks pretty simple, Naruto said, looking at it. Oh, that is what you think. Your father was a genius when it came to seals. These are seals on top of seals. It will take a while to figure them out, Jiraiya said with a smile as Naruto began to write down the seals. 3 hours later, Naruto sat in the same place with a mountain of crumpled up seal papers at his side and a frustrated look on his face. Not so easy, is it? Jiraiya said with a victorious grin, getting a death glare from his student. You know what, go take a break, clear your mind. Go grab some lunch with a girl or something, he said teasingly. Fine, I'll go get something to eat, Naruto said as he stood up and began to walk away, annoyed. If only you knew how much like your father you are, Jiraiya said to himself with a grin. Ino was walking around the food district of Konoha on her lunch break from the flower shop. So where should I eat today? She thought to herself as she passed the small ramen stand and stopped and backtracked as she saw an orange katana on the back of a black and orange jacket. Well, look who I found, Ino said in a happy tone as she popped into the ramen stand, getting Naruto to look over at her with a mouth full of ramen. Naruto took a second to swallow his mouth full and then asked, are you stalking me or something? No, I was just out on my lunch looking for something to eat, Ino replied. So mind if I join you? You're going to sit down and start talking no matter what I say, so what the hell, sure, Naruto sighed. What crawled up your ass and died? Ino asked as she sat down. Sorry, I have just been doing some training with Ero-sanin, and it hasn't been going that well, so I'm a little frustrated, Naruto apologized. What are you working on? Ino asked. If I may ask. Seals, Naruto replied. Well, that doesn't sound so hard. Ino replied. Higher end seals. Naruto elaborated. If you're working on that high of level stuff, should you be talking about it so casually? Ino asked. I haven't told you what kind of seals they were, only that they are difficult to do. Naruto replied with a smirk. Meanwhile, down the road, a pink-haired medic on her lunch break was looking for a place to eat as well. Where should I eat today? She asked herself. How about at Shiraku? There is a chance a certain former ANBU agent is there. Ino teased. What? No, why would you suggest that? Sakura asked herself. Because the tension between you two has been so thick I could cut it with a damn knife. Ino replied. I figure you catch him there, and you could work on fixing that friendship you once had with him. Well, you do have a point, and I do need to tell him I have finished the first book. Sakura said to herself as she turned toward the ramen stand. Yes, and we could make a date and not let Ino get ahead of us. Ino shouted for joy, getting Sakura to stop just outside the ramen stand. Wait, that is why you're pushing the subject, isn't it? Sakura shot at her inner self. What, she even said it herself that she wouldn't mind dating Naruto if we weren't interested. We cannot let her try to steal another man out from under us again. Ino shot back. But she didn't steal Sasuke, he ran off. Sakura shot at herself. But she got in our way of getting him, now she is doing the same with Naruto, and we can't let her win. Ino shot. Ino was only joking about the dating him thing, there is no way she would actually be interested in Naruto. She said. Then what was that at the barbecue place the other day? Ino asked. We probably just misread the situation. Sakura replied as she walked into the ramen stand, to find the two people of her thoughts sitting at the counter. See, I told you, a second date, now we have to do at least that many with him to regain lost ground. Ino shouted. Maybe you're right. Sakura said as she felt a pain in her chest as she turned to leave. Hey Sakura, where you going? Ino's voice came out. Oh, well, Sakura began. Come on, sit down and join us. Ino replied happily. No, I wouldn't want to interrupt your date. Sakura replied. Naruto choked as he coughed on his ramen, while Ino had a blank look on her face. Haha. Ino began to laugh, getting Sakura to have a baffled look. You think this is a date? It's not. So that time at the barbecue wasn't a date either? Sakura asked. Okay, you already made me choke on my favorite food once today. If you make me do it again, I'll choke you, Naruto said, turning away from his food and pointing his chopsticks at her. Oh no, I just happened to run into him here and at the barbecue place. Ino replied, still trying to hold in her laughter. And since he said we weren't really friends because we never hung out outside of missions or training, so I decided to spend more time with him so we can be friends. She replied, and I regret ever opening my mouth on the matter. Naruto sighed. Now I have another stalker. What? Both Ino and Sakura shouted. You know about Hinata? Wait, Hinata too? I was talking about Konohamaru always hunting me down, trying to fight me or something, Naruto said, getting a horrified look from the two girls who just outed one of their friends' biggest secret. Oh dear God. Don't tell her we told you. Ino shot out. Please, it is her biggest secret. Sakura added as a grin grew across Naruto's face as he held in his laughter. Ahaha, sorry, I couldn't help it, I had to. Naruto laughed. Getting a confused look from the two girls. I have known about that for years. You have? Sakura asked in shock. Why haven't you said anything about it? What, and destroy her dreams completely? Naruto asked. I have to let her down easy. You know how bad her confidence was when she was young, and it doesn't seem to have changed much in the past 3 years. If my encounter with you and her is any indication, well, you need to do it soon so she can move on. Ino shot. Think she already has? Naruto replied, getting a confused look from the two girls. What do you mean? Ino asked. I haven't caught her tailing me since our little conversation. Naruto replied. But you have been on mission pretty much since you've gotten back, so she hasn't had time to. Ino countered. Yeah, but normally she would be sitting at that corner a block away watching me eat. Naruto replied, probably trying to work up the nerve to come and sit down. At this, the two kunoichi looked over to the corner he was talking about to see it vacant. Well, just because she isn't there doesn't mean she is over you. Ino shot back. She took that seat next to you pretty quickly when we were at the barbecue. Actually, Kiba grabbed the one next to you before she could choose, and she was already making her way to sit next to you but had to move quickly to the one next to me so as to not make a scene. Naruto said. Whatever. Ino sighed in defeat. Oh Naruto, I've finished the first book. Sakura chimed in, holding up the small orange book. And what have you learned from it? Naruto asked. That you were right, it actually is a good book and has a good story to it, and isn't just smut as I thought at first. Sakura replied as Naruto took the book from her. Good, now here is the second. Naruto said as he handed her the next book. Yeah, both of them are really good. Ino said with a perverted smile. Actually, all three are. Naruto replied. I was just talking about the main storyline, not the offshoots he did. Ino replied. So am I. Jiraiya finished the third and it should be out in a few months. Naruto replied. What? Really? Ino asked excitedly. How could you know if it's good before it has come out? Really? Naruto sighed with a cocked eyebrow. He is my master. I got an advance copy even before the review staff did. What? You mean to say you have a copy of the newest book? Ino squealed excitedly. Isn't that what I just said? Naruto replied unbelievingly. Well, let me borrow it for a bit. Ino demanded more than asked. Sorry, lent it to Kakashi, and trust me, you don't want to go over to his place to ask for it. Naruto said as a grim look came over both him and Sakura. And once he is done with it, 10 Captain Yamato called it. He said, catching himself, and she has got it after him. He gestures towards Sakura, so once she is done you can borrow it if it hasn't already come out yet. But that will take forever. Ino whined. Well, sorry, I have to get going. Naruto said as he got up. But I just sat down, don't you want to eat as a team like we used to? Sakura asked as he got up. Sorry, I got training to get to. Naruto said as he walked away. Once he was gone, Sakura's head dropped in a sulk. Oh, I think I know what's going on here. Ino said with a smirk. You like him, don't you? What? Sakura asked, looking up her with shock. No, I just want the old him back like it used to be. Stop lying, she is right. And don't even try to say you still like Sasuke because we know that is a lie. Ino replied. Oh, if that is it, you won't mind if I date him. Ino replied, getting a shocked look on Sakura's face. What? No, you can't date him. Sakura nearly shouted. Oh, why not? Because you want him all to yourself? Ino teased. What, no? Sakura stuttered. Oh, well, if that is the case, I see no reason why I can't try and date him. Ino replied with a grin. Well, Sakura began but was cut off as Ino stood up from her stool and began to walk out of the stand. Alright, I'm going to see if I can find him and ask him out on a real date. Ino said with an evil smile, leaving Sakura stunned. Alright, hopefully this will give Sakura that kick in the ass she needs. Ino thought to herself, but if it doesn't, I'll have to push it a bit more. See, she does want to date him, I was right. Inner shouted in Sakura's head, if she wants to date him, that is alright. They are both good friends and I hope they will be happy. Sakura replied. Oh, don't give me that, we both know we want him. And I won't let her get between us and another man. Ina replied. She isn't getting between us because there is nothing to get in between, Sakura replied as her bowl was put in front of her. Fine, but remember that if they do get together, and unlike what you told Tsunade, it is too late to act on love if someone else has already acted on it. Ina replied. At this, Sakura just remained silent and hung her head. It had been 2 weeks since Naruto had started his training for the Flying Thunder God Jutsu. He had finally mastered making the seal and putting it on objects with just a touch. Well, you're making great progress, Jiraiya said. You finally got the seal down, but that is only the beginning. Naruto sighed. Right now we need to speed up to par. Jiraiya said, getting Naruto to give him a confused look. But I'm one of the fastest ninja in the village. Naruto said. Right, but this type of speed is instantaneous. Jiraiya replied, and plays hell on the body. Minato said he nearly ripped himself apart when he was learning it. Alright, so can you explain it to me? Naruto asked as he sat down. Well, the way Minato explained it was that his body wasn't ready for high speed of the teleportation that took place. Jiraiya replied. He said the best way to condition the body is to add elemental chakra to your speed instead of normal chakra, and that wind and lighting chakra were the best to increase speed. Well, guess it was only a matter of time I would catch a break and have some luck. Naruto replied, seeing how wind is my primary element. Right now just remember to be careful and not tear yourself apart, since wind can act like razors and shred you to bits. Jiraiya said with a grin. Oh, stop trying to scare me, it ain't gonna work, you old perv. Naruto replied as he began to run around the training area and began to focus his wind chakra to increase his speed. Once he did that, he had a small burst of speed but quickly fell to the ground with multiple cuts across his back and legs. Oh, those look bad. Jiraiya pointed out. Maybe we should have a medic here to patch you up. Maybe a certain pink-haired one? He said with a smirk. No, I'll be fine, Naruto said as the cuts began to seal up and heal with reddish-orange chakra. You know you shouldn't rely on that chakra too much. Jiraiya said. Maybe, but I have to get used to the chakra if I eventually want to control it, and not let it take over. Naruto replied. But you don't want to rely on it too much to where it takes over without you realizing it. Jiraiya added. Don't worry, I'll only use it to heal my wounds. Naruto replied. I'm putting in a request for Sakura to be here starting tomorrow so you don't begin to rely on the fox's chakra. Jiraiya said. Fine. Naruto sighed as he jumped up and began to run around the area again, only to have the same results. A week had passed since Sakura had begun sitting in on Naruto's training sessions. Now she was sitting at the edge of the training field. He hadn't needed her to heal him in the past day, so she decided to catch up on her reading. So how do you like the book? Jiraiya asked, sitting next to Sakura. Oh, it is actually pretty good. Sakura replied. So does the main character represent you? Maybe. Jiraiya said with a sly smile. And does the Sakura began? Oh, don't ruin things by trying to guess the ending. Jiraiya said, putting a finger to her mouth. Just read and enjoy the story. He said with a smile. Well, guess I won't find out for a while then. Sakura said as she closed the book she had in her hand. Just then another book was in her face. Just got it back from Yamato this morning. Naruto replied. You know I didn't give you that book to pass around like a $5 whore, since it hasn't been released yet. Jiraiya replied. Oh, calm down, I only lent it to Kakashi and Yamato, Naruto said, and now just her, and your precious book comes out in 2 weeks. Besides, you sent the original to Tsunade anyway. Fine, whatever. Jiraiya sighed as Sakura took the book and quickly opened it. Just then an ANBU landed in front of the trio. Uzumaki-san, Haruno-san, the Hokage has called for you. The ANBU said. Alright, thanks, Weasel. Naruto replied as the ANBU shined away. I wonder what she has for us. Sakura wondered. Probably a mission I haven't been on one in 3 weeks, Naruto replied. What? Sakura exclaimed. You haven't been on missions since the bridge mission? Nope. Naruto replied. How can you pay for anything if you haven't done any missions? Sakura asked. I have some saved up from my ANBU missions. They pay a lot more than what we normally go on. Naruto replied as he jumped off toward the Hokage's office. Once the pair walked into the office, they saw Ino and Kurenai standing in front of the desk. Kurenai-sensei, Ino, what are doing here? Sakura asked. They are here for the same mission I'm sending you two on. Tsunade replied. So what is the mission? Naruto asked. To meet an acquaintance you made while with Jiraiya. Tsunade replied. Oh really, who is it? Naruto asked. Princess Kalsa. Tsunade replied, causing Naruto's face to twist into a horrified look. No, anything but there. Naruto shot back in fear and whiny tone. And Chapter 6. Chapter 7 Rivalries renewed. No, just know I'll go to the pits of hell before going back there. Naruto ranted. Haven't seen him go on a rant like this in a while. Sakura said to herself. Yeah, kind of nice, isn't it, seeing the old him come out a bit. Ino replied. Where are we going exactly? Ino questioned. A small village called Yoshini. Tsunade replied. I've never heard of it. Ino said. Neither have I. Sakura replied. I have. Kurenai said, getting Ino and Sakura to look at her. So you know why I don't want to go back. Naruto replied. I agree. Why are you sending him on this mission? Kurenai asked. Yeah, so I'll just go home and send the next suicide mission my way. Naruto replied. Cause the odds of me survive that is still higher than surviving this mission. At this, both Ino and Sakura got a look of fear in their faces. Well, if he thinks it's such a high-risk place to be, should we even consider being there? Sakura asked with a bit of fear. No, Naruto is just exaggerating. Tsunade sighed. He is the only one at risk when going there, but he has a technique that will protect him, so he'll be fine. And it is a forbidden jutsu that you put on the list yourself. Naruto responded. So since I can't use that, I'll catch you later. You can use it if given permission from me. Tsunade shot back. And I'm giving you permission to use it. At this, Naruto threw up his hands and stomped around the room, pissed off. I wonder why he is putting up such fit about this. Ino whispered to Sakura. Well, Yoshini is a village run entirely by women. Kurenai whispered back. And men are thrown out, or arrested on sight. Wait, the only technique I can think of that could help him in that situation is, Sakura thought to herself. Fine, I'll use it, but I'm really against it. Naruto said as he put his hands together. Sexy jutsu, he shouted as he disappeared in a puff of smoke. And in his place was a red-haired girl with blonde highlights and tips wearing Naruto's clothes. That won't work. They have ways to see through genjutsu like that. Kurenai said. It worked the last time I was there. Naruto said. And since they have met me before, they won't look twice at me. So from here on during this mission, call me Naruto. Good, now that things are all set, your mission is to deliver this treaty agreement. Tsunade said, holding up a scroll as Kurenai walked up and took the scroll. Alright, might as well get this over with. Naruto sighed as he headed out the door, followed by the rest of the team. A few hours later, Tsunade was sitting at her desk with a victorious smirk on her face. Well, you seem pretty happy with yourself. Jiraiya said as he stepped through the window. Yep, so much so I'm not even going to yell at you for coming in through the window. She replied with a smile. Oh, and why is that? Jiraiya asked. I just sent Naruto and Sakura on a mission that is sure to get Sakura off her ass and realize if she doesn't do something she may lose Naruto for good. Tsunade said. Oh really, and what mission is that? Jiraiya asked. I sent them to Yoshini. Tsunade said with a grin. You do realize that Kalsa is crazy about him, right? Jiraiya said. Yep, and hopefully it will give Sakura that kick in the ass she needs to realize if she doesn't make a move soon, someone else might. Tsunade replied. Well, as long as you sent them there alone, it may work. Jiraiya said as he sat down in the chair across from her. No, I had to send a full team, so I sent Kurenai, along with Ino, and that should be even better. She knows Sakura better than anyone, and should have picked up on her feelings towards him like I have. Once she sees how Kalsa acts around Naruto, it will drive her to push Sakura to go after him. Tsunade said with a happy grin. At this, Jiraiya just sighed and face-palmed. What? She asked. Well, that may have worked last month, but Ino has proclaimed herself a love rival to Sakura for Naruto's affection. Jiraiya said, getting a shocked look from Tsunade. What? When the hell did this happen? Tsunade yelled. The day he started his Flying Thunder God training. Jiraiya explained. I sent him off to get lunch, so I followed him. While he was there, Ino showed up, then Sakura. Once he left, I stayed a bit longer and overheard Ino tell her about how if she wasn't going to date him, she might as well give it a try, and she has. I have seen her eating lunch with him a lot since then. However, I don't think they are actually dating yet. Why the hell didn't you tell me this sooner? Tsunade yelled. Because I had my own plans. Why do you think I requested Sakura to be the medic on site for his training? Jiraiya asked. Well, why didn't you say anything? Tsunade demanded. Because I was focused on them, and you're so busy with this stuff. He says, gesturing toward the papers on her desk. I figured I could handle it, but you just had to throw a monkey wrench into it. Well, you were taking too long. Tsunade said, trying to defend herself. Love isn't a thing you can rush, you need patience. Jiraiya said, this coming from a guy who sleeps with women he just met. Tsunade says with spit almost low enough he doesn't hear it. That is just sex, not love. Jiraiya said as he got up. Love isn't something you can rush. No matter how much you want it to be, he said, nearly whispering the last part where she nearly missed it. Hopefully you didn't push things too fast and rushed it. Jiraiya said as he went to the window and jumped out. I just didn't want her to wait too long. Tsunade sighed to herself like I did. Okay, it may get a bit confusing, but I will be using Naruto while he is in his female form. It had been 2 days since the team had set off toward Yoshini, and the gates were coming into view as the sun was setting. The 4 of them had been walking non-stop except to camp at night, and were exhausted except Naruto. Alright, so you guys are good with my cover? Naruto asked. Yes, Naruto. Ino said, just calm down, will you? Don't get your panties in a bunch. She sighed. I go commando. Naruto replied, getting the 2 teenage kunoichi to blush, as he just gave a smirk. Halt. Came a commanding voice as they came up to the gate. Hello there, I'm Kurenai from the Hidden Leaf, here to deliver a message to Kulsa-sama. Kurenai replied. Alright, Kulsa-heim won't be able to meet with you till the morning. The guard said, have you been here before? She asked. No. Kurenai, Ino and Sakura replied. I have. Naruto replied. Oh Naruto, good to see you again. The guard said with a smile, well, the princess will be happy to see you again. Yeah, I'm sure she will. Naruto replied with a forced smile as she put her hand behind her head. Well, we have to do the check. The guard said as she pulled up a couple slips of paper and put them on each one of their heads, and they began to glow green. You guys are clear. What is that? Sakura asked. It is a seal that detects genjutsu in case any man tries to get in. The guard responded, since you guys have been cleared, you may enter. However, you must learn the rules. Here men are not allowed in. Any boy under the age of 12 are allowed as long as they are accompanied by their mother. Other than that, it is just normal rules. Just don't start any trouble and you'll be fine. Alright, thank you. Kurenai replied as she began to walk into the village. Oh, by the way, how is Jiraiya doing? The guard asked, getting a confused look from the 3 kunoichi. She is doing alright. Naruto replied as she hurried away into the village. The team walked through the village. It looked like normal village, other than there were no men to be seen. The only males that were around were small children. What becomes of the boys that are born here? Ino asked. Mostly they go to the village down the valley and work the fields or go off into the world to find their own way. Naruto replied as they walked up to a hotel. Alright, we'll stay here for the night, deliver our message in the morning and get out. The team went to the front desk and rented 2 rooms, and were now at the doors discussing the sleeping arrangements. I'll share with Naruko-chan. Ino replied in a teasing voice. I think Sakura should be with her, since they are teammates, and used to each other. Kurenai replied. Oh fine. Ino sighed in defeat as she walked into the other room, followed by Kurenai, while Naruto and Sakura took the other. Naruto and Sakura were laying out some fresh clothes with their backs to each other. You better not try to peep at me, Sakura said. So what if he does? You know you want him too. Ino said, getting her to blush. As long as you do the same. Naruto replied. No promises. Ino said with a perverted grin. Well, I'm going to the hot springs. Naruto said as she headed out the door. Damn, go after him, her, whatever. Ino said in her head. No, we don't see him that way. Sakura replied to her inner self. Oh bullshit, stop trying to cover your emotions. Ino berated, we like him. I don't want to see us like Tsunade, who waited too long to move on from her first love and not take what was right in front of her. Ino berated, getting angrier. Now we need to move on him before Ino or someone else does. Whatever, I'm going to go for a soak and clear my mind. Sakura sighed as she headed out the door. Once she turned around, she saw her best friend coming out of her own room. Oh Sakura, what are you doing? Ino asked. Thought I would go down to the spa and relax a bit. Sakura replied. Same here, let's go. Ino replied as she hooked her arm through Sakura's and they headed toward the hot springs. The pair walked into the changing room and began to strip down and wrap towels around themselves. So where is Kurenai? Sakura asked. Oh, she just took a shower and crashed out as soon as we got into the room. Ino replied as she walked toward the hot spring entrance. Yeah, it was a bit of a hike. Sakura replied as they walked toward the water. They stepped into the water and removed their towels as they sank into the warm water, and it came up just below their breasts. At the edges of the hot springs were bench-type seats going all the way around the pool, where the water came to their shoulders when they sat down. Once they got used to the heat of the water, they sank back into their seats of the steamy water. Oh God, this is just what I needed. Ino sighed with pleasure as she sank down to her face in the water. Just then Ino saw a figure popping up out of the water through the steam. Oh, looks like there is someone else here, she said as she got up and began to walk toward the figure. Hey, hold up, Ino, Sakura said as she got up and followed her. Hi there, are you from here? Ino called up as she got closer to the figure. We are from the Leaf and are here for the first time, she called out as the steam began to dissipate, and they saw the red hair of a girl their age and then froze as they saw Naruko's face. They began to scream but were cut off as Naruko jumped up and covered their mouths. Quite, if you two scream it could blow my cover. Naruko said. Now will you two be quiet and not scream? She asked as they both nodded their heads. Good. She sighed as she let go of their mouths and sat back into her previous seat, while the two just stared at her for a minute. You two just going to stand there, or are you going to sit? Naruko asked as the pair looked down to see their bare breasts completely exposed, and they both dropped down into the water to cover themselves. Oh, you'll pay for this. Sakura said as she clenched her fist in a rage. Pay for what? Naruko asked. I was taking a bath, and you two came up on me. Besides, I told you I was heading down here. Why are you in the women's bath? Sakura asked. Well, there is no male bath, and here I am a woman. Naruko replied. Yes, so just calm down, will you? Ino said, coming out of her shock. It's just us girls here, she said as she slid into the seat next to Naruko. What are doing? Sakura asked Ino. What, just having a soak with my girlfriends? Ino said as she wrapped an arm around Naruko. So if you don't want to blow her cover, get over on her other side, she whispered as Sakura slowly moved to Naruko's other side with a heavy blush. See now, isn't this nice? Ino asked. Well, it's not terrible, Sakura replied. Now we just have to do it while he is a guy and not in this form. Ino replied. However, I'm sure we can have some fun with this form. Okay, now that is too far. Sakura shot at her inner self. So Naruko, how did you get past that genjutsu detecting seal? Ino asked. Well, this jutsu actually turns me into a girl, not just in appearance, Naruko explained, and their seals only look for appearance-changing jutsu. Wait, so you're saying all this is real? Ino asked, gesturing toward Naruko's body. Yes, Naruko replied. So if I touch these? Ino said as she snaked her hands under Naruko's arms and latched them onto her breasts, and began to massage them. You would feel them as if they were real? Well, they are nice, firm but not too firm, and good size too. I would say they are even bigger than mine, she teased. At this, Naruko's eyes bulged as she let out a slight moan. Yes, because they are, she said as she grabbed Ino's hands and pried them off. What, you gotta peek at us? Ino said, looking over at Sakura. We need to be even, she said with a sly smile. Yes, I gotta peek, and you two gotta peek at me while back in the leaf, so that would be even, Naruko replied. But we didn't get that good of a peek, I only say from your shoulders up. Ino pouted. And you touched, I only looked, so I would say we aren't even, Naruko said with a grin. What? Sakura asked in shock. No. Oh hell yeah, let's do this. Ino shouted for joy. Oh, stop being so uptight, Ino said as she grabbed Sakura's wrist and swung her in between herself and Naruko. No, I only did it to you because you were pushing things and grabbed mine, Naruko said. I won't feel up, Sakura, just because you want to see some girl-on-girl action. At least he knows how to hold back. Sakura sighed. No, come on, ravish us like you did, Ino, but don't hold back, Ino demanded. Oh fine. Ino sighed, then whispered into Sakura's ear. You two always needed a push. Then she shoved Sakura into Naruko, causing the pair to fall back into the edge of the pool. Sakura had her eyes closed but felt something soft pressing into her chest, and something else soft against her lips. She opened her eyes to find her lips pressed against Naruko's as well as their bodies pressed together. Sakura went bright red as she pulled back away from Naruko and backpedaled into Ino. Oh, Sakura, didn't think you had it in you, Ino teased, causing her to blush even more. You did that on purpose, Sakura accused. Perhaps a bit, but I wasn't expecting that result, Ino snickered. That was my first kiss, Sakura whispered to Ino. Hey, first kisses don't mean anything, came Naruko's voice. Oh, what, you just steal a girl's first kiss and act as if it isn't some big deal, Sakura said, beginning to fume. No, the first doesn't matter, neither does the second or the third. The only ones that matter are the ones you share with the person you truly care about, Naruko replied. Wow, I was actually mad at him for brushing off our first kiss like that, but what he says is very heartfelt and romantic, Ino said in a softening tone. Yeah, I know, I was mad at him and ready to beat him into the next village, but it melted away at those words, Sakura said. Oh, don't give me that, Ino said. The only reason you don't think first kisses mean anything is because your first was with Sasuke. At this, Naruko's face pulled into an oh shit face as if he just got caught doing something bad. What, oh hell no, let's beat his face in, Ino yelled. Yeah, let's do it, Sakura agreed. Well, I would be lying if I said that wasn't a factor, Naruko said, trying to calm Sakura down after seeing the rage in her face. But I was told that by Jiraiya. At this, Ino got a confused look on her face. What do you mean Jiraiya the master pervert said that? Ino asked. He may be a perv, but he is a romantic at heart, Naruko explained. He may have slept with more women than I could count. However, his heart has always belonged to one person. He told me that once you find the one, it doesn't matter what it is you do with them, whether it be intimate relations, or just having a drink and talking. Treasure those moments. Alright, don't beat his face in, Ino said. Well, speaking of Jiraiya, it sounds pretty close to Jiraiya that the guard was talking about, Ino said, getting Sakura to remember, kind of like Naruto is close to Naruko. Yeah, weird, isn't it? Naruko said, leaning back and averting her eyes. Oh, please don't tell me you taught this technique to Jiraiya, Sakura begged. Okay, I won't tell you, Naruko replied. Damn, Naruko, why? Sakura begged. Because it was the only way I could convince him to focus on my training instead of doing his research, Naruko explained. I give him a way to more easily conduct his research, and he focuses only on my training. So that is why you came back a year early, Ino replied. Yes, Naruko replied. But how could you give him such a technique and put us at risk of being peeped on by such a perv? Sakura questioned. Well, one of the agreements we had about me teaching him it was that he wouldn't use it in the leaf, or where someone from the village could find out, Naruko explained. How do you know he will keep that promise? Sakura asked. I don't, and I honestly expected him to have used it in the leaf, but every time I've caught him peeping it has been his normal type of peeping, Naruko explained. Well, that just makes me feel all sorts of better that there is some old perv watching me from a distance instead of as a woman next to me. Ino said sarcastically. So this will just be between us three, right? Naruko asked because if Tsunade found out she wouldn't only kill Jiraiya but me as well. Well, I guess we can keep this secret. Ino sighed under one condition. She added as she swung over to Naruko's side so Naruko was in between the two kunoichi. What? Naruko asked, a bit afraid of the condition. You have to admit we are friends. Ino said with a grin, causing him to smirk with a chuckle of relief. Fine, we are friends. Naruko said with a smile, causing Ino to return the smile. How about you, Sakura, can you keep this secret? I guess. Sakura sighed. It would be kind of hard to get your forgiveness if you died because of me. At this Naruko just smiled. Well, let's say you're definitely getting there. Naruko said, causing Sakura to light up with a smile. I do have one more question. Ino said. And what would that be? Naruko asked. You said this was all real, does that mean even Ino began as she put her hand on Naruko's knee and began to slide her hand up. Naruko quickly snatched Ino's wrist and pulled it up out of the water. I only go as far as second base on the first date, she said with smirk and stood up, grabbed her towel and wrapped it around herself. She then stepped out of the water and began to walk to the changing room. Well, that was fun, Ino said with a smile. I just wish we could have had the kind of fun Ino had. Ino complained, but at least we got our first kiss and it was with Naruto, or Naruko, or whatever. Yeah, and it was Sakura began, but her thoughts faded as she sank into the water remembering the kiss. Meanwhile, back in the Leaf, Tsunade found herself in the Leaf's hot springs changing room. She had a lot on her mind and needed to clear her mind and just soak and maybe have a few drinks along with it. Tsunade wrapped her towel around herself and walked out into the steamy bath area. I really need this. Tsunade sighed with a stretch. She then saw the back of someone else sitting in the bathes with white hair. She walked toward the figure. Oh, hi there. She called out as the body tensed a bit. So out here to shed the stress of the day as well? She asked in a friendly tone as she slid into the water next to the person. Yeah, you could say that. The white head said as she turned to face the Hokage to reveal a woman in her mid to late 30s, with a tight face without wrinkles and moderate-sized breasts. Yeah, I have just had a rough couple days myself, Tsunade said with a sigh. But I'm sure you don't want to hear about my problems. Oh, I don't know about that, I'm a good listener, and it may help to get some things off our chest. The woman said. Well, if we are going to talk we might as well drink as well, Tsunade said as she reached behind a rock and pulled out a bottle of sake. One of my many hidey holes, she said with a wink. Don't worry, I won't tell. The white-haired woman said with a friendly wink. By the way, what is your name? Tsunade asked. Jiraiya, she said with a grin. That is an odd name. Tsunade said, are you here on business or something? I haven't seen you around before, but you seem familiar at the same time. No, I'm just passing through, got in late this evening and needed to rest after my travels, Jiraiya replied. Now what has got you all worked up? She asked. Oh, just young love, Tsunade replied as she poured 2 drinks. Not to sound offensive, but aren't you a bit old for young love? Jiraiya replied. No offense taken, I know I'm old even if I don't look it. Tsunade laughed. No, it's about my young apprentice. She obviously has feelings for this guy but won't act on them. Oh, and you want her act on it then? Jiraiya asked. Yes, I don't want her to go through life regretting not acting on it because of previous lose, Tsunade replied with a sullen look as she threw back her drink. You can't make decisions for others, you can only guide them from your own experience but must let them walk their own path, Jiraiya replied. Yeah, but I just don't want to see her hurt, Tsunade said, because she waited too long. Then show her it is never too late to follow your dreams, Jiraiya replied with a smile as she put a hand on her shoulder. Right, thank you, Tsunade said as she gave Jiraiya a hug. No problem, Jiraiya said. Acho, she sneezed. Someone must be talking about you, Tsunade replied with a chuckle. Hopefully it's something dirty, came a much deeper voice with a chuckle. But that wasn't the only change she noticed. The soft breasts that were pressed against hers were gone, and a hard flat one was in its place. Tsunade pulled away from the hug and her face twisted into horror, as in the place of the white-haired woman was Jiraiya. What? Jiraiya asked as Tsunade's face went from horror to anger, and a tick mark appeared above her now shadowed over eyes, and she clenched her fists. Hey, what's wrong? Jiraiya asked as he put his hand behind his head, then saw his arm and looked down to see was in his normal form, and it was his turn for horror to take over his face as he paled. Now I know what you're thinking, Jiraiya said, putting up his hands in a defensive and pleading manner. Jiraiya, Tsunade began in a seething tone. Did Naruto teach this to you? Ahahaha, Jiraiya began but couldn't form words, as she got right up to him and put her face to his. Might as well fulfill your dying wish before I kill you. Tsunade smirked evilly as she kissed him, shocking him solid. Once she pulled away, he still stood there unable to move as she put her fist through his jaw, launching him over the hidden leaf. Tsunade then walked over to the changing room and put her clothes back on and proceeded to run in the direction she had launched Jiraiya. The next morning the team met in the lobby of the inn. Everyone was well rested except Naruko, who yawned as she walked onto the lobby. Oh, tired are you? Ino teased. Did you and Billboard Brow continue the fun last night without me? What fun? Kurenai asked, confused. Nothing, Sakura quickly answered. No, I just couldn't sleep, kept having a feeling I was going to die. Naruto replied. That's odd, but it could be from previous missions you were on the ANBU and they go on missions where you could easily die. Kurenai replied. No, this wasn't like that, I can deal with those easy enough, this was a feeling of impending doom. Naruto replied. Anyway, let's go get this mission done. The team walked to the town hall building and found themselves in the waiting room. Once they were called into the main hall, they saw a throne at the end of the hall with a girl about 16 with golden hair that went to her lower back, nice full breasts that rivaled Hinata's sitting on it. Wow, she is gorgeous. Inner proclaimed. Yeah, I wonder why Naruto had such a fit about seeing her? Sakura wondered. Good morning, Kalsaheim. Kurenai greeted. We are here to deliver the treaty to be signed between your village and ours, she said as she held up the scroll. Very well, let us go to my office and we shall go over it, Kalsa said as she stood up and walked to a door behind her throne followed by the team. Once inside, Naruto shut the door but found herself pressed up against the door with her lips pressed to another. Once she got her bearing, she pushed the body that was pressed up against her away. How many times do I have to tell you not to do that? Naruto said as she wiped her mouth. Oh, you know you enjoy it, Kalsa said as she walked behind the desk, and you will be mine someday, she added as she opened the scroll and began to read it. Alright, seems like everything we agreed upon, Kalsa said as she continued to read. And here is the part about allowing men from your village in as long as it pertained to a mission and that they had to be Jonin or ANBU rank. Yes, Kalsaheim, Naruto replied. Good, now you can drop that transformation. Kalsa replied. I do like it, but I like your real form better. At this, the three kunoichi got a look of shock as Naruto disappeared and Naruto was in her place. Oh, now that is so much better, Kalsa said as she licked her lips. Now where does it say in this treaty about our betrothal? What, no way, we can't lose him like this, Inner said in a defeated tone. I don't want to lose him either, Sakura said. It doesn't and you know it, Naruto said. Oh, I thought I'd try, Kalsa said in a disappointed tone. Well, if you ever change your mind, I'm always here, or I could come and try to get you over at your village, she said with a twisted grin. Sorry, I'm already dating her, Naruto said, gesturing toward Ino, getting a shocked look from all his team members. Isn't that right, Ino-chan? What? When the hell did this happen? What did we miss? Inner yelled. You mean we already lost him? Sakura said with a sense of loss. Damn, Naruto-kun, I thought we were going to wait another week to tell everyone. Ino sighed in agitation. Sorry, Ino-chan, couldn't be helped. Naruto shrugged as he walked over to her and put his arm around her. Well, I guess special circumstance call for change in plans. Ino shrugged as well as she wrapped her arm around his waist. Very well, but once you get bored with her, come back and I will show you things she would never dream of doing, Kalsa said as she signed the treaty, rolled it up and handed it to Kurenai. Thank you, Kalsaheim, Kurenai said as Naruto turned back into Naruto and the team exited the office and left the building. The team walked out of town, and once they were far enough away, Naruto dropped the transformation. Oh, about time, Naruto said as he stretched. It's good to be back in my real form. Yeah, like she said, your female form is nice and fun, but this one is definitely better. Ino said. Why were you freaking out so much about going there? Yeah, she was a bit of a freak, but not that bad. You only met her for a few minutes, I had to deal with her for a week, Naruto said as a shiver went down his spine. I've tried to block out most of it. Let's just say her dungeon doesn't hold criminals. Oh, alright, understandable that you didn't want to go back, Ino replied. Yeah, and thanks for playing along with the whole girlfriend thing, Naruto said, getting Sakura to snap her head over to him. Yeah, no problem, Ino said. Once you threw that at me, I figured it had to be something like that. Wait, that was all just an act? Sakura asked in shock. Of course, Ino said. You had to find a way out of that situation and a way to get her to back off. Naruto said she would have followed us back to the village if she thought there was a chance of getting me, so I gave her a reason to back off. But why Ino? Sakura asked. Why not me? Ino rebutted. Because she is part of the interrogation unit, even if it's just a lower level position, she knows how to read people. Also, if Kalsa had any spies watching me, she would have been informed that me and Ino have lunch every couple of days for the past couple weeks, Naruto explained, getting Ino to look back at Sakura with a grin as she started to make her way over to her. When I talked about dating Naruto at the ramen stand, I was trying to get you to buck up and fight for him and admit your feelings for him that I know you have, and that is what I originally planned for this trip, Ino said under her breath so only Sakura could hear. However, now I am telling you, I do want him as my boyfriend whether you do or not. What? No, we can't let her have him. Inner demanded. Fight for him now. But I don't, Sakura began. Oh, don't give me that. When you heard they were dating, your heart dropped to your stomach. You felt you had lost something you never wanted to lose. That is what happens when you love someone and you're about to lose them. Inner berated. So fight for him. If he does choose her over us, at least let us go down fighting like we always do. Damn, fight, fight, fight. Inner pounded into her head. I won't let you have him that easily, Sakura said under her breath for only Ino to hear. Well, looks like we are love rivals once more, Ino said with a grin. Only difference this time is I already have a foot in the door, she said as she sped up to walk next to Naruto. Hey Naruto, you know it would be alright if you continued to call me Ino-chan, Ino said in a puppy dog voice. As long as I get to call you Naruto-kun, alright, fine by me, Naruto said as she clung to his arm. Oh, that little witch, Inner seethed. Don't worry, she won't win that easily, Sakura said as they continued to walk toward the village. End Chapter 7. What if Heartbroken Naruto joins ANBU konoha? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel. And leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down, and thanks for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video.